Check 1, 2, 3. Welcome to Access All Areas. AAA. Your AAA passport to the music industry. We're live and direct, and I have to say apologies for the late start today. Some technical issues. And today we've had to move over to YouTube instead of
nowadays it's a struggle to stay alive.
Twitch was what we was on last month.
Until he died. Sandra Bland, they called it a suicide.
So once again, my apologies and welcome. This is AAA Access All Seminars.
Designed in legislation is the medication that they prescribe, but it still never cured the blurred lines between innocence and witnesses to a crime.
And for those who don't know, my name is
DJ Love, resident host and DJ of Access All Areas.
So if you didn't know, today it's all about, the subject is racism in the music industry 1 year on. So last year, this time, exactly 1 year ago, we did our show and it was all about racism in the music industry. So today, we're gonna talk about how it's changed 1 year on, We've got some great talent to come up on stage for you today, and we also got a wicked panelist. So you're not going to be disappointed at all. We're going to have a wicked show today. Our first set that we got coming on stage is going to be a reggae act. So let's make this reggae.
For you know your responsibility to keep your precepts diligent. One more time, I don't know, sir. Only Mount Zion, that's where the foundation built.
So those who know me, they know I always usually do turn up. But you know what? Let's change that little piece today. We might still get a little piece of turn up. Let's do this.
Babylon, why you scrape, you spill. What we don't have, every ghetto youth will can't take. Oh, no better be still. And left from boy, you fire gun and run ill. Hey, yo, why you scrape, you spill. What we don't have, every ghetto youth will can't take. Oh, no better be still. And left from boy, you fire gun and run ill.
Babylon, you them burn to them and so you them figure down the drain. Babylon, you them burn. They mark hard beats, the whole of them are broken. Babylon, you them burn. Them all the fight against German, them a shipping cocaine. Babylon,
once again, welcome. This is Access All Areas, your AAA passport to the music industry.
Man to feel pain, they break the mommy. My sister, I say, oh, what a shame. Brother and my father, fish up sugar cane. On the plantation, stress and shame.
Capleton and Sizzler, you know, let's do this.
If Jah is by my side.
Like we said, welcome. The racism in the music industry. But if Jah is by our side, you know what, Guan?
This a junior this a junior this a junior
Let's keep it positive, let's go.
If Jah is standing by my side, then why should I be afraid of a pestilence that crawleth by night? If Jah is standing by my side, then why should I be afraid of a pestilence that crawleth?
We're only gonna play a few more, but then we're gonna bring on our first act.
Your best you try to harm me and I aiming to kill, but I love you still, cause you are here to make prophecy fulfill. It's your will, no weapon that form against me, this I just shall not be. Divine protection shall set my soul. Talk to me. Jah is standing by my side, and why should I be afraid of a pestilence that crawleth by night?
AAA, let's go.
It's a ghetto people song, only them can sing this one. It's a song for the poor in space in separation.
Once again, welcome to Access All Areas at AAA Seminars. That's at AAA Seminars.
It's a song for the poor in space in separation.
Let's play some Garnet Silk.
Now blessed is the Lord thy God, and blessed are they that do his work. I receive it, we have received it, who have sent we. And you receive it, who have sent, we have received it, the Lord thy God. Cocoa Tea, Garnet Silk, and Charlie Chaplin. Do it!
Oh, well now, giving I
rises to Haile Selassie the first. Easy cockatoo shall we shall bow and every tongue shall tell. Jahi is the highest. We shall bow and every tongue shall tell you. Jahi is the highest. For the thanks for all that you have done and for what you're doing.
Them kind of rhythm there, you know.
I am not saying I might not do wrong again, but I promise this time I'll
like I said, sorry for being late today. A little bit of technical issues. We're going to play one more, then we're going to bring on our first act.
Joe, me say, every morning me get up me under God vibes. Pray for the wicked man ship fit capsize. The one they realize how under God will recognize. Say when it comes to God.
Like I said, we're going to play one more song. We're going to bring on our first act onto the stage. And once again, apologies for being behind schedule.
Somebody pee now what about them baptized. But coming
Stays, can we get them sorted, please? Stays, can we get them sorted?
Give thanks and praise to Selassie I the King.
Thanks and praises, go!
For all the loving and the joy he brings.
Like I said, we're going to play one more, then we're going to bring our first act to the stage. And like I said, I'm going to do a little bit of turn up. Let's do this. Capleton!
I sing, free up yourself in all the judgment. All the meditation and black reference. Answer clean into the pure now.
No matter what you're going through, make sure you stay strong. Let's do this.
I envy us, it I go mad them. Tell us the three of them can change. It's just like a rope, it I go end them. Again, I go kill them. I envy us, it I go mad them. Tell us the three of them can change.
Once again, welcome to Access All Areas.
Well, Benjamin, say you don't feel grudgeful and you don't feel envious. Your heart of the clean and you must not corrupt. In the bed of corruption, then you must not wrap up. In a certain congregation, then you must not guess up. When you see them bloody meat, then you must not cook up. When you see them devil soup, then you must not sip up. Glorify your bread that works and don't get jealous. If you see your sister falling, then you must help her. And you don't feel interfering and you don't feel love trust. You don't feel love sorrow. You don't feel love trust. I am Selassie guy, but that mind I go kill them. I am the it I go mad them. Tell them the three of them can change. It's just like a rope, it I go hang them. Again, mine I go kill them. I am the it I go mad them. Tell them the three of them can change. And no Rastafari children. Big man, well, no.
Freeze. Okay, we're ready. We're ready. Once again, our apologies, our deepest apologies with our technical issues today. We were supposed to be on Twitch, but now we had to move over onto YouTube for today, okay? Once again, welcome to Access All Areas. We're going to bring on our first act onto the stage today. Let's do this.
Yeah. Sons of the UK.
New artist showcase.
To God be the glory.
Home of new UK music. The next artist to perform on the AAA stage is...
Please welcome to the stage, Sons of Thunder UK!
Yeah. It's all good. Let's go straight into this. First time after the pandemic and all that. Yeah.
God be the glory. Hey.
Na. Hey. Na.
Thunder.
Hey. Na. You understand the deal? Well, alright then. Never quit, never lose. To give up, I refuse. So me put on my clothes, put on my shoes. The success road I choose. I will never bow down. No way. We're not business where people say, man, I step out big, no more delay. We don't care what them say. This is a warning. Hey, step out me way, cause I hear destiny calling. Hey, we take the lead from God alone. This is a warning. Hey, step out me way, cause I hear destiny calling. Yeah. Hey, we take the lead from God alone. What we say?
This is the path we are take, we are
walking straight.
We're not sidetrack, we're not
take them bait.
Man a focus,
man a progress in life.
Man a rise up, we don't
care who a lie.
Man a follow hype, man a follow them.
None at all.
If we work hard and the
dream don't stop.
Live it for the heart to believe.
What we say? Yo, this is a warning. Hey, step on the way, cause I hear destiny calling. Hey, we take the lead from God alone. This is a warning. Hey, step on the way, cause I hear destiny calling. Yo, we take the lead from God. What we say? Yo, step, yeah. Calm down. So So we poop out there.
Them burn.
I'm on
leave a mark on this world.
Every man, every woman, every boy and girl.
It no matter who you are, pursue your purpose in a God's path. It matters how you finish, more than you start around the clock. Happy steady in your heart.
This is a warning. Hey, step on the way, cause I hear destiny calling. Hey, we take the lead from God the Lord. This is a warning. Hey, step on the way, cause I hear destiny calling. Hey, we take the lead from God the Lord. Yes, I believe this is my time. I will achieve and take what's mine. Rise, we rise. This is a golden age and glory time. See, if you never know, you never go. What the future has and what the future holds. God, I'm not letting go. This little light, I'm letting show. This is a warning. Yeah. Hey, step on me way, cause I hear destiny calling. Yeah. Hey, we take the lead from God the Lord. This is a warning. Yeah. Step up me way, cause I hear destiny calling. Yeah. Hey, we take the lead from God the Lord. Yes, DJ Longers.
Yes, Longers.
God is good.
God is
we go by the name of Sons of Fun UK from Northwest London. Hope everybody's doing good this afternoon. We're going to keep it flowing just like this, yeah? Please, a little bit before them in the monitors, please. Yes, let's go.
Yes,
straight into it.
1, 2.
Yeah.
Hey.
Easy DJ Longers. Yes. Boy.
Righteousness. Hey.
Yeah, man. For me, no see your place. From the UK.
And the beat
What
is
you say? Yeah. Well, alright then. From the first day we born, I was destined to walk in our blessings, and I know that we call. So we walk in a one direction. God overall, He make a big man come down small. He make a small man rise up tall. So all I can say, blessings upon blessings, blessings all over me. Hey, blessings upon blessings, blessings all over me. Hey, blessings upon blessings, blessings all over me. Hey, blessings upon blessings, blessings all over me.
More than silver and gold, me not sell up my soul. Tell him it's a blessing, like a river of flow. It's a follow everywhere we go. Tell him it's a blessing, no level we set it. London to Ghana we rep it. Tell him it's a blessing that keeps on rising, keeps on rising. Hey.
Our blessings upon blessings, blessings all over me. Hey, blessings upon blessings, blessings all over me. Hey, blessings upon blessings, blessings all over me. Hey, blessings upon blessings, blessings all over me.
Blessings,
yo,
let it follow me. Eja Ushirano,
come on,
let it follow me.
Yo,
I have God Almighty, so the devil can't try me. Mighty blessings upon me.
Hey,
I'm a misu masobio. Hey,
yo, blessings upon blessings, blessings all over me. Hey, blessings upon blessings, blessings all over me. Hey, blessings upon blessings, blessings all over me. Hey, blessings upon blessings. You know where you come from? Blessings all over. From the back to the front of it, from the crown to the top of it, God's blessings all over me. And I know God's watching over me. Daytime, nighttime, shower me. Nation to nation, shine on me. Blessings that come inspire me. And we are taking this where we know a part of it. What? Blessings upon blessings, blessings all over me. Hey, blessings upon blessings, blessings all over me. Hey, blessings upon blessings, blessings all over me. Hey, blessings upon blessings, blessings all over me. Yeah, you know God has been good all the time. Wanna big up everybody that's listening. We made it through the pandemic. We're still here, still rising, still shining. Yeah. Once again, big up DJ Lock,
yes.
All the team, big up yourself. Sons of Fun UK. Check us out, YouTube, Facebook, and all that good stuff.
Yes.
You got one more for us, sir?
I've got one more for you.
Ah, that's so good. Hey. Yeah, Lord, you are on my mind. Righteousness.
Hey.
Thinking that you are all the time.
Hey.
Lord, you are on my mind. What was that? Yo. Everywhere we go, God upon we mind. Everywhere we go, no, can't let Christ be behind. Everywhere we go. We got the same old talk, because we not lead the world. No, we not stop preach the word. Everywhere we go, God them on with my eye. Everywhere we go, no, can't let price be high. Everywhere we, yo, we got the same old talk, because we not lead the world. No, we not stop. Yo, Dean, I realize I'm not tall without the king. When I fall without the king, look and see nothing I go on without the king. If I don't fit in me, then walk up in a scene. He give me the grace for God. See, the battle is the Lord's. Without him, me couldn't win. He paid the penalty and he took the sting. He carried the cross and death to me feet. It's a gospel thing. Everywhere we go, what? God them on me, my eye. Everywhere we go, no, God them price me, eye. Everywhere. Yeah, we got the same old time, because we not need to. You got something for them?
Yeah.
You got something for them?
Yeah, alright, cool. Yo, can you take a time? Me iPhone up on the charger. Grinding for God, that's how we grind harder. We never walk alone, God will be partner. He will make you high more than marijuana. He bring the heat just like the sauna. I used to sell drugs on the corner. Man, I'm a win soul, but that no bother. Okay, alright.
Everywhere we go, God upon with my eye. Everywhere we go, no, God price be high. Everywhere we go, we got the same old time, because we not lead the world. No, we not stop preach the word. You deal. Alright then, bringing the gospel to the mainstream. You don't know we are the mission at the A-team. Tell them we are move hard, so can't chop the God. No, see the devil in the rage. We opposition them a face with fear, because we are winning them daily. Forevermore I will hold to the Christ, the Holy Spirit and the Father. What? Everywhere we go, God upon we. Everywhere we go, no, God Christ. Everywhere we go, we got the same old talk, because we not lead the world. No, we're not stopping. One more time. Everywhere we dance, God help with my eye. Everywhere we go, God help with my eye. Everywhere we go, we got the same old talk, because we not lead the world. No, we're not stopping the word. Yeah, God is good all the time. God is good, God is good, all the time, God is good. You are here, cause God is good. We are here, cause God is good. God is good, all the time. Yeah, we out of here. Thank you. Yeah. Hey, down. Fire!
You guys have to come this side. Wow, the energy.
Praise God.
The energy.
Praise God.
Wow, Sons of Thunder UK, ladies and gentlemen, right here, right now. And that was an energetic opening to the show. You understand? And I have to give another bomb for that energetic opening.
Yeah.
So, tell us about you guys, man. Your brothers.
Yes.
Blood brothers,
blood
yes.
brothers,
Yes, man.
Yeah, not brethren, blood brothers.
Same mother, same father.
Okay, same mother, same father. Yeah, man, respect.
Same mother, same father.
And how long have you guys been together doing your thing?
Well, it must be a good 15 years now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
2005, 2006, we done the first video.
Yep.
And just been flowing since then, you know?
Yeah.
Flowing the music, writing, everything. It's been good.
Yeah. Now, I noticed that you guys got that God on your mind dance there. Like that is that you
Yeah, I saw you ready to pick off.
I like that little God on your mind dance there.
Man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think you made it, you know. And
watch this, pass the pass, you know. You made it. No, you made it. No, them sibling rivalry. No, you did it. No, you did it, fam.
You know, we performed for a long time, so it's mad how the dancers came out on the spot,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? We never rehearsed it or nothing like that.
Never?
You know?
Okay.
No, just in terms of, for this gig, you know, this came out, you know what I'm saying? We haven't performed for a long time, you know what I'm saying?
So you guys are in sync like that.
No, one's there, bro.
Now, where are you guys from? Area?
Not West London.
Okay.
Yeah.
And family-wise?
Same, family-wise, Jamaican.
Okay. Big up Jamaica, you know?
That's where the fire comes from.
My mum would be a bit upset that I just because my mum's Antiguan and I just big up my dad's side. So big up Antigua too, you know?
For sure.
So, in terms of music now, what have you guys got coming out?
Yeah, so in fact, we've got a track now which we just performed, Destiny Calling. That's what we're pushing at the moment.
Yes.
It's all about getting back in the studio and putting out some new material and all that stuff.
Okay.
You know?
And our tune, the new tune as well, you know what I'm saying?
House
House
Party.
Party, sorry, House Party.
House Party,
House
okay.
Party on the road right now. We're pushing that out right now.
Yeah.
Just, about this COVID and all that stuff. They're just inspiring people to live good.
Okay.
No matter what the circumstances, to have a positive mind.
Yes.
Have no fear what's out there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, break those chains.
Yeah,
kind
break
of
those
thing.
chains
Yes.
of this bondage, man. No.
The house party, you know what I mean, with social distancing.
Yeah.
Social distance party. Yes.
Yeah, man.
So, in terms of like your music, so if people didn't realize that these guys are gospel reggae, yeah, blessings upon blessings. I love this. I love the song, bro.
Thank you.
I love the song. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do you guys come up with your concepts for your music?
That one was an interesting one because we was actually in Ghana.
Okay.
No intention of making any music.
So you guys like travel internationally and perform and everything, yeah?
God's grace.
No, I have to give you another one for that one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But we went to Ghana and one of the local artists reached out to us and said, "Listen, you're not leaving here until you record a track and the video."
So it was actually a Ghana producer.
Producer and artist Edward Starr who features on the track as well.
Okay.
You know.
How long was it? We was only in Ghana for about 2
weeks. Yeah.
Short
So
times.
within 2 weeks.
Had to
Wrote
get the
track.
beat. Had to get the. I didn't have no song, but we had to just be inspired by what we've seen, and it was just a blessing. As that song called "The Blessing Upon Blessings," no lie, that was just a blessing.
I hear you.
know,
I hear you. That's definitely there to be seen. Okay, so what can we expect from you guys to come up?
More music,
more inspiring music,
more
man.
vibes, more fire.
Yeah. And where can people watching right now get to see you, hear you, get more information about you, etc., etc.?
I'm gonna say all of you on YouTube now. I know we've switched on to YouTube.
Yeah.
After the show, look out for Sons of Fun UK on YouTube. You'll find us there.
Okay.
Facebook, Twitter, not Twitter.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Sons of Fun UK. Sons with a Z. Fun the UK. Yeah, get us on YouTube.
Now hold on.
Instagram.
Now the other important part of that as well is SUN or SON.
SON.
Okay, so
Z, yeah.
Sons of Thunder. That's SONZ.
Yeah.
Sons of Thunder UK.
Yeah.
Don't forget the UK at the end.
Yeah. So we've got quite a few videos on YouTube. So please go check out our stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Support.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a virtual round of applause for Sons of Thunder UK, please? Thank you, guys. You came and ripped it up. Okay, so we're going to head to the panelist side of things right about now, okay? Now, you know what this is all about. This is AAA, Access All Areas, your AAA pass to the music industry. And this is 1 year on from our show that we did last year, which was, I got it now, our show that we did last year, which was racism in the music industry, all right? So make sure you're ready. This is going to be such a wicked panel today. You ain't gonna miss nothing. But first, let's welcome you properly.
Welcome to Access All Areas. New artists performing live, informative panels, and networking sessions, giving the full 360 on the music business. Access All Areas. We are your AAA pass to the music industry.
Now I'm gonna introduce you to our hostess for the day. So can we have another virtual round of applause for the one and only Gracey Mae?
Hello, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to AAA Seminars, Access All Areas. Today, we are talking about racism in the UK music industry 1 year on. If you are loving what we're saying, please feel free to be active on socials, okay? At us, at AAA Seminars, and use the hashtag AAA Seminars. Now, I am joined by a distinguished panel of industry professionals who are really going to get down and dirty with the info. I hope you guys are ready. We're about to have a very honest conversation. We are looking at how racism has been diminished in the last year, looking at initiatives like the Black Music Coalition, the Power Up Programme, the UK Music Diversity Survey, Black Lives in Music Survey. We're also going to talk about the government commissioning the Race and Ethnic Disparities report. We're looking at pay and conditions. We're looking at artist contracts, marketing budgets, mental health, and the importance of diversity. If you are ready, then I am ready. I think it's time that we do a few intros. Is that okay? So on the stage, I am joined by 3 industry professionals who are all smiling at me, which is a great start. And in case I haven't said hi, I'm Gracey Mae. I'm an entertainment journalist. My specialism is Afrobeats, so I'm all about Black music. And the guys on the panel are too. I'm gonna pass over straight to my left. Francesca, please feel free to give us a mini intro to who you are and what you do.
Thank you so much, Gracie. What a great intro. Hi, everyone. My name's Francesca. I am a psychological therapist and I specialize in cognitive behavioral therapy. I also have an organization called the Soul Surgery where we seek to promote mental health, particularly in Black, Asian and other ethnic minority communities. Just making people aware of their mental health and how to better manage it. I also work with people in the music industry and the entertainment industry as well. I'm really loving this conversation and hoping I can add value. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Virtual round of applause, please, for Francesca. I can't see you, but I'm sure you are doing it. All right. Should we go to the person to your right? Feel free to introduce yourself.
Okay,
yes, mic is on.
Hi, how you doing? I'm Ben Winter, for those that might be tuned in that are visually impaired. I'm a Black male. I'm wearing a blue and white varsity jacket and a black tee. I am entrepreneur and outreach manager at AIM, the Association of Independent Music, where my role is to help independent entrepreneurs scale up their business and grow their business. I'm also co-founder of Power Up, an anti-Black racism initiative that was launched in January, that was put together in the aftermath of Blackout Tuesday. I'm also founder and CEO of Unstoppable Music Group, which is a management, production, and record label. So yeah, I don't get much sleep.
Wow, with the CV like that, don't let my Nigerian mum hear it because there will be pressure applied. Please, let's get the intro for the next panelist.
Hi, I'm Kwame Kwarton. I'm vice chair of the MMF and I own a management and music company called Ferocious Talent.
I love it. And how fitting that today is Black Pound Day. So if you haven't already, please feel free to patronize a Black business today. We are trying to increase the circulation of Black pounds, the Black economy. All right, should we go over to our virtual speakers? Let's go to, who can I see first? Let's go to Kienda. Let's go to Kienda. You may be on mute, sir.
Okay, Michelle did tell me this was going to happen to me. Okay, hello everybody. My name is Kienda Hodgie. I am the assistant head of School of Arts at the University of Westminster here in London. I also teach internationally and have I have a visiting professorship at Peking University in Beijing, China, where I teach sort of global music industry and entertainment business sort of law. I teach in Helsinki in Finland and Moscow State University in Russia, where I teach sort of similar subjects related to the sort of music industry, management thereof. I'm a music lawyer. I do little bits and pieces still, even though I'm in academia most of the time. I have a real interest in the subject matter for today. I sit on the UK Music Diversity Task Force with Amo and others, and great that we've got Amo here today, amongst other people also. I've done, what else have I done? I mean, I've done numerous other things over the years. I've worked for both majors and independent labels. I do management of a couple of artists. What I'm doing at the moment, though, is I'm engaged in research. My research project is looking at race bias in the legal aspects of contracting and artist development in labels, basically looking at the ways that major labels engage with artists on a legal basis. So looking at sort of the manifestation of racism through the terms of contracts, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Amazing. You mentioned Mandarin, so I have to show you my GCSE Mandarin class were good. I mean, it was 13 years ago, but let's not talk about that. So, ni hao.
Ah, ni hao. Ni会说一点普通话.
Yeah, that was too much, sir. But thank you. Really love having you on the panel. Let's move over to Charisse.
Hello, everyone. I'm Charisse Beaumont. I am CEO of Black Lives in Music. And what we do, we advocate for equality in the jazz and classical space. You know, as you can see, there is a great disparity in regards to race in orchestras and in education in terms of conservatoires. And we work in those sections. So we work with conservatoires, we work with universities, we work with orchestras, we work outside of that, we work with Sync in terms of we have partners with the Guild of Music Supervisors. And what we're doing, we're creating pathways and opportunities for young Black musicians and composers to fulfill their career aspirations. We've just recently closed a survey on the lived experience of Black musicians in the UK, which goes across all genres. Thank you and shout out to everyone who may have completed that survey. We appreciate you, and I promise you will come correct with the results. And the results have been really overwhelming and really outstanding, and we're looking forward to publishing those shortly. And yeah, I just thank you for having me on here, and I just feel like I'm a bit privileged being amongst so much greatness. So I'm looking forward to learning as well as contributing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just listening to you describing yourself, I was literally just thinking, Black girl magic. We want to be just like you. On the topic though of Black girls doing their thing, let's go over to Michelle.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michelle Escoffrey. I'm a singer-songwriter. Been involved in the music industry for a long time as been in groups, singing groups. I come from a singing family and have had experience with major labels and also independent. I left kind of singing front stage behind maybe around 1998 to pursue songwriting as my main source of creativity. And I run a label called 528 Music Global. We develop new talent, new songwriters, new producers. I also teach postgraduate commercial songwriting. I'm the module leader at Talyard for their commercial songwriting and production MA. And I sit on the board of directors at PRS.
Over to you, Doctor.
I am Dr. Monique Charles, and I am a cultural sociologist, a theorist, and a methodologist. My role is not directly related to the music industry per se, but my area of specialism is music and sound, particularly Black British music. I am on the editorial board for the Global Hip Hop Studies Journal. What else? Yeah, so I see my role more so in terms of producing knowledge or enabling the correct people to produce knowledge so it can end up in university spaces, so that the voice of authority comes from where it should come from, let's just put it that way. I'm also a sound therapist. I have a practice called I Run the Sound System, also known as Hertz, a Jamaican take on Hertz, you know, sound waves. And yeah, so with tuning forks, I like to put people to sleep and help them to relax and chill out and all that good stuff. So I'll just keep it quite short. Thanks.
You skimmed past the PhD in grime.
Oh, yes, sorry. I talk about it so much now, I think people are fed up of hearing it. Yes, in fact, I actually have it in front of me because I've been making notes. My PhD is called Hallowed Be Thy Grime, and remix on Hallowed Be Thy Name. I was looking at spirituality in grime, as well as, I suppose, spirituality and emotion in the context of live performance, knowledge creation around genre, class, race and gender in the grime scene, and also the role of the internet and digital or technological democratization in enabling the scene to develop and grow, looking at racism in that process as well. So yeah, that's me.
Perfect. And then controversial question, who is your favorite grime MC?
People ask me that all the time. It sounds really cheesy, but I actually don't have one. I'm not one of these people that tends to have favourites, favourite food, favourite film. The thing that kind of drew me to grime was I wasn't really too happy with politicians getting down on the kids. You know, they're building a scene, they're building something from the ground up, making waves on their own. And I thought, there's something going on here. So that was kind of what kind of drove me to kind of get involved and see what was being said so that it can be in the academy and can be talked about and taught.
I love that. Very political answer, but it's okay. We're not trying to start a riot. So thank you so much.
No problem.
All right. We are joined by a member of the British Empire on the panel. I don't know if you know, but we are going to segue right to Amo. Welcome to the panel. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Amo Tawa. I'm CEO of Punch Records. We're a music company based in Birmingham, and I also am the chairman of the UK Music Diversity Task Force. But more importantly, I'm a fan of two people on this panel, Kwame from D-Influence and Michelle Scoffrey from that band. I have to mention that because otherwise we're going to talk.
Cheers, Amo. Cheers. You're not a fan of the rest of us. Cheers.
And fan first.
Amazing. That was a very short intro, but I love it. Short and sweet and to the point. Now we are about to get into a conversation about racism in the UK music industry. This time last year, we had a seminar and we are back to talk about the progress that has been made in the last year, but where we can still grow to. With that said, I have a definition of racism because, you know, it's always good to start with a definition. And fun fact, the word racism was only added to the Oxford Dictionary in 1989. That is about 32 years ago, is my maths correct? And did Ben just say that's not a fun fact? Yeah, quite crazy, given that we have kind of lived with it our whole lifetime, but the fact that it came to public consciousness so recently might inspire some of the conversation we have today. Okay, so the definition that we have in the Oxford English Dictionary is racism is the theory that distinctive human characteristics and abilities are determined by race. With that said, and given the fact that I mentioned earlier, today is Black Pound Day, Patronize a Black Business Today. And we recently celebrated 1 year, or I shouldn't say celebrated, commemorated 1 year since the Black Lives Matter movement met the public stage with George Floyd passing away. I have a question to those that are on stage right to my right. Can we eradicate racism, especially in the music industry, in our lifetime? Ben Winter, I'm going to you.
My answer to that is I don't know. I don't think any of us know. I think when it comes to anything that's unjust, whether it's race, gender, anything, where people are marginalized, you just have to, I've been brought up that you have to stand up for the voiceless and you have to stand up for yourself. So, you know, whether or not we can eradicate in our lifetime, I hope so. That's the point of Power Up. The aim of Power Up was to try and eradicate anti-Black behavior within the music industry. It's a 10-year program. And, you know, we hope that at the end of the 10 years, there won't be any need for Power Up to exist anymore. That's the ambition, that's the dream, that's what we're working towards. So I guess as somebody that's called his company Unstoppable, that has unstoppable tattooed on his body, that, you know, has lives by Huey P. Newton's quote of better to die on my feet than to live on my knees, I'd say, yeah, we can. Yeah, we can if we try and we all come together and we work together to make it happen. But I think the key is that we have to work together. So when you have the esteemed people that you have on this panel that are all taking steps to create change, we all have to talk to each other, we all have to engage each other, and we have to have a unified voice and a unified mission and unified action in order to affect change. Because when we do it individually and we try and I'm doing something here and Kwame's doing something over there and you're doing something over there and none of us speak, that's where things fall down, because we cancel each other out. But if we actually come together like Voltron and we just make it happen, then I think anything's possible in this world. I don't believe the word can't isn't something that I use. So I believe that we can do whatever we set out to do.
I love
yes.
that. And when you speak about initiatives like Power Up, it is really encouraging that we are, creating solutions to try and tackle racism in the UK music industry. I'm going to quickly pass to Michelle, and trigger warning. I want to ask, what was your first encounter of racism in the music industry as an artist? And how did you kind of react to it? And did you stand up for yourself?
Gosh, that's I'm trying to think what was the first encounter. I can't pinpoint the first encounter. I don't even know if I was aware of the first encounter. But what I would say is, from a very young age, being in groups that are all Black, the idea of you're not marketable, we don't know how to market you, we don't know how to style you, we don't know how to put you in the marketplace. That was a very, very common theme. And how I was raised by very radical. My father was a very radical man. He was a pioneer. He was somebody that in the church spent a whole year withholding tithes to save enough money to bring over Caribbean ministers into this country for, to minister to Black congregations. So the idea of you can't do something, like Ben said, was very foreign to us. So it was, if you're saying we can't market you, then it's, well, we'll find people that can market us. We'll find, and we worked with the Watchman Agency, we worked with various other people of colour that understood our music, that would work alongside record companies and push us out there. So I would say probably back in very early 90s, yes, we had that experience of, we think you're great, but we don't know how to market you. But we found ways to navigate that. And that's something that's very important. We can't always listen to what we're being told and take that for gospel or truth. We have to also find our ways of navigating that system.
Thank you so much. It's so striking that you say that was your experience in the early 90s. I'm not sure if everyone's aware, but Jamelia actually put out a video this week, or she was on a podcast, I should say, where she mentioned that, being on shows on major channels, they didn't know how to do her hair. They were constantly pressuring her to relax or perm her hair. They didn't have makeup artists that could do her skin. And she often had to do her own hair and makeup. And it begs the question that, in 2021, how is this still a factor? Kwame, I'm going to come to you. As the co-chair of the Brits Diversity Committee, trustee at the Mobo charity and on the Brits Trust as well, what tangible change are we trying to see, and how do we really go about doing it?
We just have to tackle it at every given point. Where we see it, we just have to. Ben's brought out a really good point. Michelle's brought out a really good point. We have to work together. There was definitely a time where people didn't work together, and that time is dead as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't have a place in today's, society. And when I say that, I mean we have to work together. When we see it, we have to call it out. When we have to not just call it out, we have to find ways to tackle it, get under it, get over it, get around it every time. And being in the organizations that I'm in, there are a lot of steps being taken. Some of which I can say, some of which I can't, because there's confidentiality when you're talking at a sort of boardroom level. But the truth of it is yeah, there are lots of steps being taken. And as Michelle said, and it's a really good point, our mothers and fathers are immigrants. So the whole thing of somebody saying no to you, in the first place, for you to even get here is one thing, right? And then, I mean, my mum was from South Africa in apartheid, being told, no, you can't, nursing is all you can do, and you can't take anything, you can't take any exams that are over that. And she came out of South Africa, came over here and did just that, and then put me through school after my father passed away when I was 7. So yeah, we can't hear no. So we're not going to hear it now. Obviously, 2020 was big, you know, but 2020, there's a lot of people talking about, I hear some people in the music industry say, oh, be great when things get back to normal. I'm not, no.
That's why we launched Power Up in 2021, not 2020.
I'm like, later, I'm like, this is fine. Let's just keep the foot on the gas. Thank you. That's it. Mic drop.
Can I just add something to that? Like, we've started this conversation. It's almost like, okay, what are Black people going to do? This isn't a Black problem. I just want to make that very, very clear. Yeah. This is about people. Yeah. So the racism in this industry that affects Black people, and it affects other people from other ethnic backgrounds as well. And it's important to highlight that as well. It isn't something that we have to fix. It's something for the wider industry to fix, and we all have to come together. So when I say we, I'm not just talking about Black people, I'm talking about all people in this business. Because if you're white and you see something that isn't right, you need to step up and stand up. If I'm Black and I see something that isn't right happening to an Asian person or a white person or whoever, I need to stand up and do what is right. When you look at Power Up, it's co-founded by myself and Joe Franklin, who is a white man who wanted to make sure that the atrocities that he had seen and that the conversations that we had had, he could affect change. So it's not a Black problem that Black people need to go, oh, how are we going to end this? No, this is a world problem, but within our industry, we can do something to move the needle as Black people, and we can do something to move the needle as people participating in the industry. And I just think it's so important that this conversation doesn't go down a road of what are Black people going to do, change things for Black people, because it's not that. Also, it's what are we going to do as an industry to affect change.
I love that Ben's gone. It's good. It's great. He's already on the horse. I love it. So I would also say, I'll give you an example, because it's good to have an actual working example. Right. Brits Diversity Committee, right? So we formed, 4 years ago. We get called in and we're very much like, look, if we're coming in here, we're not coming in here to just sit and, take plaudits. Stuff has to change. So people, you would have noticed in the last 4 years, the Brits has changed with regards to the people that are on it, with regards to the performers that are on it, with regards to the people that are winning awards. And exactly, with regards to the voting as well. So that had to start somewhere. And the first thing that we helped instigate was basically the changing of the people that could vote, because we saw that there was a problem on the inside. And the problem on the inside was the people that were voting for the nominations, if a CD came onto their desk or a memory stick came onto their desk and it was, Black music, they didn't necessarily understand it. So they were like, okay, well, no, we can't nominate because we don't really know about it. We know about this and we know about this. And so what you were seeing was that in perpetual. That's what you were seeing. So the Brits were becoming, as far as we were concerned, less and less relevant, representative. And that had to change. They knew it had to change. We knew it had to change. So we went about changing that by making a small change there. What it meant was there were new people on the nominations board. The minute there were new people nominating, right, it meant that new artists could come through, and it meant that and suddenly you started to see, and now it's not a thing. You're going to see, Skep on stage. You're going to see, you're just going to see more Celeste. You're going to see, you're going to see more performers from different areas of music. And that is how it should have been from way back. But you know what? If it took us to do it, then good. And we'll keep doing it.
See, I love that. I feel like coming with solutions means that we can actually affect change. We've all been in rooms around a kitchen table at Christmas where we've complained about things. And sometimes on the outside, it can seem like we've got a chip on our shoulder. But I feel like when you're able to make those strategic, intrinsic decisions with diversity, we can see some real change. Now I can see that somebody's just come off mute.
It was me. I've came off mute. Basically, if you don't mind, you're right, Kwame. Things did change in regards to, and I'm not privy. I'm looking out on the outward as a fan, so I'm not privy. I don't have that board seat like you do. But things changed when people kicked off. When the fans, when people who were actually watching the Brits, Black people actually said, you know what, I can't relate to this. Brits so white. And I think what is key to change is the voices of the people, and it always has been. We can't, in order to get these people, the people who are actually in positions to actually listen, unfortunately, it took for a death of a man, which we know Black people die all day long in America through to police brutality, but it took for the world to kick off for people to understand.
And so I'll just jump in there, sorry, and say, do you feel like the solutions that we've seen have been very reactive instead of proactive?
No, I think we've always known what to do. It's only now that they're listening, if you would, in my humble opinion, that for us, the solution is obvious. Put more people in a nominations board so it affects the voting. Was that door open 5 years ago? No. It took for people to kick off, then power up. I want to know, I want to understand. It took for people to kick off for Black Lives in Music to have a foot in and other things. So, I mean, just correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that the voices of the people is so powerful, and that
I totally agree. There's no way that I would have been called in. You notice that I said we were called in 4 years. You know what I mean? We were called in 4 years ago.
I'm still waiting for my call.
Would I have been called in if that hadn't have happened? No. No. But when we got in, it was like, okay.
We can do things. We can make change.
Do things. Absolutely. But you're totally right. You're totally right.
I feel like the history of Black people in the UK is peppered with a lot of us reacting, having to make a lot of noise, and then seeing change. I want to come to Francesca as one of our psychologists on the panel. It can be a bit tiresome. Like, we don't always want to have to be the spokesperson. We don't always want to have to be the one to speak up. Ben mentioned allyship, having people that don't look like us standing next to us, speaking on our behalf. Give us a few tips, if you can, on how we can speak up for ourselves without it having, a major mental strain.
That's a really good question. And I love everything that everyone shared so far, and think everything is completely valid. Can you speak up for yourself without it having mental strain? I don't think so. I don't think that's possible, unfortunately. What I do think is needed is rest. With activism, and advocacy on your part and on the behalf of others, you need to rest and you need to fight when you feel ready to fight. And when I say fight, I don't mean physically fight, but advocate for yourself, use your voice. And it really depends on what the situation. You really do need to read the room. So I do believe you have to take a risk assessment. So are you in a place where something's going to risk your livelihood or your life?
No. Sorry. I gotta cut you there, because your livelihood, right and wrong, it doesn't matter about this is. Let me just say something. Let me give you an example. Over the last 20 years, I've been in the business. And I've seen people turn a blind eye. Black people turn a blind eye to things that happen. White people turn a blind eye. Every race turn a blind eye to things that have happened because they're worried about their livelihood. I've never cared about my livelihood. I can get money. It doesn't matter whether I'm in the music or I go and do something else. I will get money. You understand what I'm saying? So
let me jump in then.
No, let me finish what I'm saying. So me standing up for what I believe in, it doesn't matter about my livelihood. That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. It's about, is this right or is this wrong? Is this person gonna suffer? Is this person not? How do I stop them suffering? How do I stop myself suffering? How do I stop how do I make sure that my 10-year-old niece that wants to come into this business has an opportunity to come into the business and can thrive? That's what I'm interested in. It doesn't matter whether somebody closes a door on me. That don't matter. Because you know what? I can go through the window. I'll kick in the back door. I'll climb up onto the roof and come through the chimney. It really doesn't matter. But what does matter is that we change things for the better. Because if we sit there and we start talking about my livelihood, nothing changes.
With that, Francesca, I will let you finish. And then Kienda, I'm going to come to you. And just keep this in mind. I want to ask, is it our responsibility to speak up each and every time? So Francesca, back to you.
I completely hear what you're saying, Ben, and I completely hear what you're saying. When I say livelihood, not necessarily in terms of, am I not going to speak up? Am I not going to say something? But in terms of coming from a mental health perspective, some people don't have that capacity. Unfortunately, some people don't always have the tenacity, they don't have the resilience, depending on people's backgrounds, what they've experienced. So I completely hear you, and I am with you 100%.
And I understand that, and that's why you have to talk to people. So if you're going through something, you see something that's not right, and you don't have the capacity to stand up and deal, then you speak to someone that does. You say, you know what, Uncle Kwame, this is what I've seen. Uncle Ben, this is what I've seen. Uncle Kienda, whoever, you know what I mean? And you don't stop and go, but my livelihood. That's just my point.
Yeah. So sorry if you maybe misinterpreted what I said. Not livelihood in terms of, this door's gonna open or I'm gonna lose my job. It's more to do with kind of you have to risk assess where you are in life, and people are in different phases in life. People are in different spaces in life, and a lot of people come with a lot of trauma, just based on family, childhood, and what they've been through. So what I'm saying is you kind of just have to assess what you can do at that moment in time, because some people will have a breakdown just doing it.
Let me come in.
Not everybody has to go and do a big program.
Let's go to the Zoom panel. Yes, Cherise.
No, I got Francesca, you know, I got her. Listen, because of the space that I'm in, there are some skins that are thicker than others. Some people are like us, Ben, where we're just grizzly with it, Hulk, let's just do this. Then there are some people who are actually receiving, on the receiving end of racism. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's actually affecting their mental health, and they don't know what to do. And as Black people, we really need to look at that. As Black people, sometimes we're not aware that these things are affecting us in a certain way and affecting our mental health. And we have to look after ourselves first. So, okay, Naomi Osaka this week, for example, yes, she's a millionaire. Yes, she can sit out of one tennis tournament, if you would. But really and truly, she did put her mental health first. And that is where I feel like Francesca's trying to say. She's just trying to say, look, if it comes down to it, you know, rest. Nothing's more powerful. I don't disagree
with that.
Yeah, and let me land as well. You're right. I've got you, Ben. You're right. We need to talk. We need to find organizations as Black people, Black musicians, Black professionals in the music industry. Listen, we're just told to knuckle that down and get on with it, you know. When we're called the N-word, we're seeing people called the N-word. We're seeing people go through all kind of grievous, disgusting things. You yourself as a musician going through disgusting things, and you don't even understand why you're doing it, but you know it's something to do with your race. Find someone to talk to. There are mental organizations such as Francesca's organization. Find someone like Francesca. Find Black Minds Matter organizations such as that help you with mental health. It's important. That's the truth. One thing as Black people, because we've been doing this for 400 years, we're taught. Okay, we're taught just to hold your head down and get on with it. We can't do that all the time. Not everyone's built like us, Ben.
And I love that you said that. I feel like I'm going to bring Kienda into the conversation, and let me just quickly set the scene. If we roll back maybe 11 months, we had a conversation, and I believe it was Good Morning Britain, where Dizzy Rascal was asked his thoughts on Black Lives Matter. And he took his stand and said, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to promote my music. I'm a rapper. I don't really have a say. Now, he was pushed and prodded by Piers Morgan. He was like, no, but you're a Black man who experiences racism. You have to comment. Now, the public were divided on whether it was his responsibility to talk about racism or whether it was his responsibility to be a musician and speak about his music. Kienda, I'm coming to you. Based on the conversation we've just been having, I want to ask you, is it our responsibility to talk about racism and confront racism each and every time? And that's not a leading question. I need an honest answer.
Well, it's an interesting question. I mean, I was going to talk about what motivates change in relation to resistance and what has done for all of our existence on the planet. And the moment that we encountered the Europeans, or the Europeans encountered us, the moment that they invaded our homeland and decided to decide decision over what our destinies were, the motivation for change has always been us. Ultimately, it always has been us. It's been us that caused uprisings on the plantations that meant that they were losing money, that meant that they had to deal with the situation and change something about that. If it hadn't been for us, Wilberforce and all these other people wouldn't necessarily have even been talked about right now. So the real truth is about that we are the people. When it comes to a question about whether we should be talking about racism, of course, we're human beings. We should be talking about what affects us. And we should, but more importantly, more than talking about it, we should actually be actively doing something about it. But what I would say is that I think, which I totally agree with, and that is that racism isn't a disease that we are afflicted by. See, what we've seen over the past year is people potentially mismanaging situations where particularly major executives in record labels are saying that every time they're challenged on the question of racism, they put up their Black executives, or they're still doing this, in order to deal with and confront the issue. I saw Leanne from Little Mix's documentary on the show, and she was talking about the amount of times that she tried to get in touch with actually a person that I know, that a number of us people know in this room know, to talk to her about a situation. And what did they do? They put up a marketing person who was a Black woman and put those two people to sit in a room. And she made the very, very astute observation, incredibly astute observation, which is, what are we going to be talking about? You know what I mean? It's not something that we have to have a problem. It's not something that we have afflicted by. It's something that that white people have to deal with. It's something that we have to at least call it out. We have to be able to show how it affects us, and we have to be able to speak to that. And I would say, whatever the consequences, and I'm telling you this because, you know, the whole idea about sensitivity, white fragility, all of these other things, these terms which have come into our sort of lingua franca in the last year, terms that people didn't use before, in lots of ways are weighted in favor of the sensitive. Do you know what I mean? It's like the sensitive is what's more important than anything else. If you're hurt or harmed by subject matter around the issue about race, forgetting the fact that people are suffering racial trauma, as Francesca, I think, said last year. But the whole idea that we ignore that, and we think that people can just have these open conversations. In the United States right now, I don't know if you've been seeing the news, but actually the government, interestingly, isn't it, how immediately after George Floyd, every big company in America went as crazy as possible to try and find as many Black executives as they possibly could. Some of them not necessarily fit for duty, right? Face the truth. But what I'm saying is that they went crazy to find people, just and largely so that they can put them up whenever the conversation about racism comes up. These are the people that we've employed, so we're okay. And these are the people who are going to talk to you because they make you feel good. But actually, no, you know, it's not about us. You understand? It's not really about us. But there's a period where they went through that. Now the tide is kind of changing. We're seeing a move on the part of the federal government in America that taking up the mantle from the state education boards about making it unlawful to talk about historical issues to do with race and racism, slavery, enslavement, and the transatlantic slave movement in class. Why? Because it makes white students feel uncomfortable. So it's like we've been through this period, and now we're doing this thing where we're sort of seeing the situation where Yeah, you're absolutely right. That is the case. But enshrining it in law is not necessarily what I would describe as the ultimate extent of progress in relation to the struggle. And that's the reason why I'm saying that ultimately we don't have a problem in terms of suffering from the racism, perpetrating it. We have a problem suffering it. We have to call it out. We have to be able to action. We have to have the call to action, like happened quite spontaneously as a result of what everybody saw in 4K video quality in front of their screens, white man actually killing a black man on screen. Right? And it wasn't no film, it wasn't no fiction, this was real life. And so from that moment, people saw that kind of thing happening. We have to be able to do something about it. And when we start talking about, in answer to your question, sorry, sister, in relation to whether or not we should be calling it out, or whether or not we should be mentioning it every single time, hell yes, hell yes. But we don't necessarily have to be the people in the room that everybody turns to try and find a solution. I will say tangentially, though, that it is important that we are seen to be doing something ourselves. So it's not that we can always constantly be pointing the finger at the enemy saying, you are the people who have to solve the problem for us. Like Dr. Nayam Akbar has told us, and previous scholars have told us, this is a problem that we have. We have to do things on two levels, on two fronts. Our battle is a two-fronted battle. And we have to recognize and be really honest about this. So it is about calling the people out. It's about making change. Hell, we drive the music industry. We need to get dues. You understand? Absolutely, 100%. And that's why we need to call these people to account. That's why I'm so glad to see, the Black Music Coalition, Black Lives in Music, and other organizations established, right? And doing what we're doing. With the diversity task force, calling out industry, getting them to commit to the 10-point plan that Amo was very instrumental in putting together. Those are the kind of things that we have to do. But we also have to fight on the other front, which is about educating our own, and it's about bringing our own on as well. So without letting them off the hook, it's about how we bring our own, how we develop infrastructure that supports development, how we bring on infrastructure which allows us to operate our own organizations in accordance with our own value systems. Because let's face it, the value systems that are operated by the major labels that manipulate the artists that go in is not anything that represents us.
And that was the basis of power.
We need to recognize that the power base is us. I always say, and the last thing I'll say on this issue, I always say this to my students, right? When we start talking about a legal contract being a binding thing between two or more individuals, if you sign to somebody like Sony, Sony is assigned to you. Go around saying Sony are signed to me rather than I'm signed to Sony. The legal situation actually requires you to say that, right? It's mutually, right? Secondly, the reason why they're talking to you is because you have something. Recognize the power. And if we do that, we then start to shift the arguments around what it is that we want. But we do that within the context of our own infrastructure, which is what we require to do on the second front of this battle that we have with these people. Trust me.
Wow. Some real gems there. I feel like the point specifically around infrastructure, the ecosystem are so vital. And you touched on something. It reminded me that most times people are more offended to be called racist than the racism itself. They're more offended at the label than the action itself. And so oftentimes we do have to speak up. Not oftentimes, we always have to speak up as long as we've got the capacity. That's the main learning I've got from this. Before we get into the next question, I just wanted to encourage everyone that's watching, if you do have a question for our distinguished guests, please pop it into the comments down below, or you can hit us up on Twitter and Instagram at AAA Seminars. We're picking up the questions and we're asking them to the panel. Now, Amo, I'm going to come over to you. Kianda touched on several points, but one of the ones that I really wanted to drill into was performatism. How can we make real change and limit performatism from these big organizations? Because, changing your logo during Black Lives Matter is one thing, putting out a statement on your LinkedIn during Black History Month is another thing, but actually affecting real change when it comes to values and morals is where we're really going to see the change. So how do we stop performatism?
Sure. So before I answer that, I just want to just reverse 2 steps to pick up on something that Kinyende, Kwame, and Ben said. What we're failing to realize is we're losing out from a fiscal perspective. So there was a report that just came out 2 weeks ago in America saying the fact that the American film industry hasn't employed Black people and Latino people. That's what they use biopic in America. They're losing £10 billion a year. So wouldn't it be interesting to find out how much the UK music industry is losing on not employing people of color? It hasn't been achieved yet. But I just wanted to sort of footnote that, because I think a lot of people, they've historically put these black squares and think, oh, it's really important. Let's have a plan. Let's have an action. We're going to be more forensic in terms of our data capture. There's going to be more accountability. There is going to be repercussions. These are all things that people are saying. And there has been a lot of change. And we need to celebrate success amongst our Black colleagues and share stories. But actually, financially, we're losing out. And the thing is, no one is actually talking about those particular losses. And once you hit the financial versus the makeup of the industry versus what's on stage, people will really start to pay attention. And they are moving towards that direction, but it needs more of some of the organizations that have been mentioned to collaborate a lot faster. We need to celebrate new initiatives like what Ben's behind in terms of Power Up, and we need to consolidate. It's a two-tier thing. You have to hold the most senior people out, and I'm a fan. I'm an outsider. One, I'm from Birmingham. I'm not as cool as all you London people, but two, if something feels uncomfortable, call it out and find the people that will support you on calling these things out. These are really important areas that we're all working towards, and I think collectively we can make those changes.
Thank you so much for that. You know, after the Q&A, we're going to have a performance, and after that, we're going to come back in and talk about the money. So I'm so happy you segued into that, because we do know that there is a disparity between what Black artists are paid, what Black executives are paid as well. But we will touch on that a little bit later. With that said, we do have our very first question for the Q&A. So Ben, this one is for you. I hope you're ready. The question is about Power Up funding. It says, why did established people get it whilst upcomers that needed it were ignored?
Well, what I should actually do, which I haven't done and haven't had a chance to, is explain what Power Up is and what it's all about for those that don't know. So on the back of Blackout Tuesday, we put Power Up together. Power Up is an initiative to end anti-Black racist behavior within the UK music industry. We do this in many different ways. So in one hand, we have the participant network, which is about empowering, uplifting, educating creators and behind the scenes executives. There's a real lack of opportunity for behind the scenes executives to break through the glass ceiling. Statistically, it's proven that Black talent doesn't receive the same treatment as their non-Black counterparts. So we wanted to try to level the playing field and create an opportunity for those that have been in the industry for a certain amount of time to break through that glass ceiling or to elevate their career as a creator. So first things first, it wasn't for people that are early stage or just coming into the industry or, are at a lower end of the industry. It was for people, I'd love to apply for Power Up, but I can't, so I'm a co-founder. So it's people that have been in the industry and are trying to get into senior management, into the boardroom. If they're entrepreneurial, take things to the next stage. If they're creators, they've had some success already. They've been out and they've achieved certain things, and to help them go to that next level. The funding, and I've said this so many times, I've said this in articles, I've said this in talks. Whilst we were supporting with funding, so if you needed to go on a course that might help you to, for example, a C-level course that will help you to become a CEO at a company, or if you needed additional funding for your marketing budget for a project that you had, that's fine. But what it's really about is about the network and the social equity that you get from the network. So again, there are studies that prove that if you come from a certain socioeconomic background or a certain ethnic background, the opportunities within the corporate world isn't afforded to you in the same way that, somebody that isn't from those backgrounds will have, especially in the music industry, call a spade a spade. If you're Black, you're not going to have those same opportunities as your white counterparts. So the idea behind it was to build a network that would allow people to gain social equity. Now, that's more valuable than any grant, because that allows you to grow a network, tap into a network, and gain from it. So if you know X, Y, and Z, or you have access to, I don't know, a marketing company or whatever, or marketing expertise, and I need that, I can now talk to you. So each year we fund 40 participants, and that network grows by 40. There's a 10-year commitment to run Power Up. That means that 400 Black individuals within the UK music industry will begin to create a network that has social equity. If they go out and touch, I don't know, another 5,000 people, we're going to test my maths here, that 5 people, that's like 2,000 people, is that correct maths? Yeah, so that's 2,000 people that now have a network. And now we have social equity. You now have a social economy, and you can start to grow and develop an industry within the industry, and business can begin to happen within the industry. Now, you don't have to be independent. You don't have to be in a major. You can be in any area of the music industry, from legal to live to majors to independent to entrepreneurial. And that's what it was about. So, you know, there were people that applied that were too early stage. And I have to stress, it was super competitive. We could only fund 40 people. We had over 530 people apply. And, you know, even with those people that didn't make it, they were invited to a meeting, which it was up to them to come or not, at which they were given other opportunities to connect with other organizations. They've been given, you know, free access to the AIM platform that has a wealth of information on how to grow your business, which launched on Thursday. So, you know, they can go to the AIM Associate platform, which you're only able to access if you're with a distributor, but every single person that applied to Power Up has been or will be offered the opportunity to access that platform, which again gives them knowledge, because you have everything from how to set up your company, how to, you know, get distribution, et cetera, et cetera. So anything that you need in that space, you now have access to information. So what we're trying to do with Power Up on the participant network side is raise the bar and allow people to level up, to break through glass ceilings, but also to create social equity. And then on the movement side of things, it's about working with organizations like Charisse and Black Lives in Music, the British Music Coalition, and various other organizations that are doing amazing things to actually go out, get the data to support what is happening out there, so that we can go out, we can lobby, and we can start to affect change, whether that's at governmental level or whether that's at industry level. We can start to affect change, and we'll be launching a pledge in the autumn where, you know, we'll be asking organizations to sign up to that pledge in order for them to have a firm commitment. And our thing is not to kind of finger point and say, you put up a black square and you're not doing X, Y, Z. It's for us to say, okay, we see that you want to make a commitment. You might not necessarily know how. Let us work with you to help you to achieve your goals. Because one thing, you know, I'm not going to sit up here and do is point fingers at the industry. There's a lot of people in this industry that want to make change. There's a lot of people in this industry that are running companies that actually want to change how they're doing things, but don't know how. And if we have solutions on how, then we need to work with them to achieve their goals and to help create change. It's not about us going, oh, you post a black square and you said X, Y, Z and you haven't done it. Nah, it's not that. It's let's work with you. Let's change the world together, man. Let's change the industry together, and let's work towards a better future.
Amazing stuff. And I think the key thing there was your network is your net worth, or your net worth is your network. It's a saying that we say often. And yeah, Power Up is doing amazing things. And we've got Kwaku on the virtual panel. I'd like to bring him in. We have a question here, and I might set the context of Ivorian Doll. I'll just sprinkle that in there in case you want to use that as an example. The question is, we hear from rappers speaking on how white executives own black music / black artists, making it seem that racism is indirect. What are your thoughts on changing the practices in the music industry to protect black people?
So, okay, hello, and first of all, apologies. I'm in a different country with different issues, so That's why I got in here late. Well, that's
Welcome,
a
sir.
big. Thank you very much. That's a big question. So I mean, I will do my best. You use the word own, so that to me is an issue. What does that own mean? What does that own mean?
Great question. This one has come from our online viewers. So if the person that posted the question could clarify, that would be great. In your own opinion.
Okay.
Sorry, more technical difficulties. My question was, in your own opinion, do you believe that there is an imbalance in white ownership of Black music?
Okay, right. I'm not gonna say imbalance, but I'll tell you something. I'm into all sorts of Black music. So reggae, for example, and on the one of the networks I'm on, they're saying, yeah, we've got own Black music, or the reggae. And I say, you know something? If you look at the history, reggae has not really been owned by Africans. In Jamaica, yes. But the companies and the people that are interfacing with in the UK were Europeans. Even Trojan was started by a Jamaican European, an Asian European, Lee Gopto, Chris Blackwell. So in terms of the mainstream reggae, which I think is the bulk of reggae, it's never been owned by Africans. So we have to understand the historical context to our cultural production. That's happened. Even when you flip it to America, people say hip hop. We see the faces, Ice Cube and all these people. But who own the labels in this world? And some of their managers are often not Africans, or their lawyers are not Africans. So there's always been this issue. I think horses for courses. I know some very progressive African artists who say, I want to build a network. So they're looking for a competent, not just an African lawyer, by the way I use Africans or Black, not just an African lawyer, but one that is competent. So there are a few artists who want to make a stand politically by making sure they're building networks of Africans, whether managers or lawyers. So it's for the artists actually to make up their reality.
And if I can just quickly chip in there, and this will be our last question before we go to the performance. The clarity there was ownership of masters and contracts and finances and things like that. So thank you so much for that response. Did you want to add anything now that we've got that clarification?
Yes, again, horses for courses. I was on one of these Zooms 2 days ago, and someone was saying publishing, people owning your stuff. And this African sister, in fact, I can name her. What's my sister who does girls? Carla. Said, you know something? She is glad she got signed to a publisher because she got enough money to build her own organization and to buy a house. About 10 or 15 years ago, I see Candace in the room. which is Association of African American Music. They used to come to Britain each year. Jam and Lewis were in one of the summit, and they're saying, oh yeah, we have to own our things. We have to own our things. You know what they said? They said that you've got to make a decision if you want to have 100% of something and nothing, or give something and get something in return. In their case, they were happy to have a publishing deal in which they got some money. So a lot of artists are owning their masters, and it's very easy to do so. Fair dues to you. But if you want to give part of what you own or had in exchange for money, I think it's an individual decision. So we can't be hard and fast. You have to tell the artists the options, or managers have to tell the artists the options for them to decide which works for them. For some, ownership of that is more important than the advance.
And that's a great point. I feel like within the Black community, when we talk about ownership, you know, we throw around stats like the pound exits the Black community after going around twice. In the Asian community, it's 5 times. In the Jewish community, it's 12 times. And so I know the topic of ownership is always something that is close to home. With that said, we are going to take a mini pause so you all on the panel can get some water. Me too. I'm going to hand over to DJ Longers.
Thank you very much. You guys are killing it on the panel right about now. We're back with me. I'm gonna play some couple of tunes, and then we're gonna bring on our next performer onto our stage. You know, so let's do this. Let's keep this music rolling. My name is DJ Longers. Let's go.
Gracey, could you hear?
DJ Longers, your resident host and DJ of Access All Areas.
Never thought that I would make it out that place. Your grace had its
Access all
way. Said you've been with me through all my darkest days.
Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at AAA.
Said that even though the road to go gets on my door, I know it's not in vain. I know that sometimes mistakes make you break and you're shaken up. Sometimes life hurts more than words can describe. Be reassured that the Lord wants what's best for you, and that the Father is right by your side. You saved me when I needed a hand, took me out of the sinking sand, as my feet on dry land. It's all by your grace, and I wanna thank you with all my heart. You brought me on a very DJ Longers.
Never been black before, oh baby, you never been black before, oh baby, you never been black before, oh baby, you never been black before. Cops gunned down another black teen, nothing here's just another crime scene. Candlelight vigil on the back street, outcries wake up a community. Pardon me, pardon me, pardon me, it's the president, if only you could pardon me. Less news press, more apologies. Bloodshed like we struck an artery. I can't lie.
We're almost ready to go. We're almost ready to bring our next act onto the stage. Once again, this is AAA, access all areas. Your one-stop shop to the music industry right here.
Youth won't stay clean. Can't lean on a brother cause he don't lean. Just a baby, had a baby, she was 14. Mom's welfare line, pops don't fiend.
Freeze. We're ready, we're ready, we're ready. Now, I want to big up the lady called Cheryl for this artist that's coming onto the stage right now. And we're going to welcome her on.
Access All Areas New Artist Showcase. We are the home of new UK music. The next artist to perform on the AAA stage is...
Can we get a virtual round of applause for the one and only Tonya Soulbird?
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Got something to say right now. It's just how I feel. Got something to say right now. It's just how I feel. Got something to say right now. It's just how I feel. Got something to say right now. It's just how I feel. Oh yeah, I feel it all, every damn thing. I see it all, every real thing. And I have found that the only true thing is love. The real exchange is love, so don't bother me with your isms. Don't holler asking me what I'm on. Don't ask me what the motive is if it ain't about love. Character over charisma, direction over speed, influence over fame, and soul before flesh. Hearts, not garments. I ain't here for your applause. Our minds focused on the cause. I know that love will break our laws, or organic never force this lioness will roar. until every barrier falls. I have everything I need to change the world because I first changed myself, and best believe myself feeds off the self first. Rejoice, be glad, fear not, and do great things, so that you may eat and be satisfied. Rejoice under trials. If the heart is deceitful, then all things are in vain. Givers never lack. Most generous, most blessed. And it's sad when the only time your people donate is when they donate to a GoFundMe account when you're deceased, but whatever, I ain't here for your applause. My mind's focused on the cause. I know that love will break your laws, organic never forced, God forbid that I am a fruitless fruit tree. Storing my treasures in heaven, a place where pagans cannot reach and waste men cannot contaminate me. Funny how they're able to judge your movements, but it's crickets when it's time for them to self-reflect. Anyways, keep your light burning, keep the brain learning, heart pure, and then blessings will never stop raining. Immerse yourself into his training. Give him your pain and he will. See, despite our despair, still we hope. If you serve him, he'll make you ruler. Do not go with haste and ensure that the Lord your God before you as a rare guide. Are you sure you're hearing the voice of God or the voice of the devil? Do not pollute, dilute God's word with the advice of mortal men. Run your race and be diligent towards the end. Drink more water, chant your psalms, sing his praises. Keep your heart pure and your doings right. May your ears hear and your eyes see. Endure so that you can obtain the promise. First comes humility, then comes the glory journey on. See, many mistakes that I've made, but I'll never trade who I was for who I am. See, God's got a plan with without a man, still a queen, what you mean? And I heard old friends chatting my name trying to bring me down, but I know it's cause they see I wear my crown. So I'll never respond with hate or get irate, cause I know in the end they'll rate my bars, my tone, my soul, my heart, my ethic, my mind, my everything. They might even get inspired to write Quick 64 and join me in AA seminars to get the people free. No more distractions, my understanding and compassion. I choose to use my passion. I ain't interested in following fashion, cause in his house there are many mansions. And if you think I was talking about silver and gold, then beloved, truth be told, you've been programmed to think that life is about the accumulation of gold. But behold, he is doing a new thing. He is doing a new thing. He is doing a new thing. I told you I had something to say. Thank you, that was called Something to Say. First track of today. And as you can see, I had a lot to say. The next song is about not conforming, it's about not fitting in, breaking boxes, and being who you are destined to be. Everyone's been created uniquely, and to walk in that truth and to understand that we don't need to compromise ourselves for anyone. We're all special, we're here for a particular purpose. Never let me. And we've got IK on the guitar. Pressure, it's all around me. Be this, be that, do this, do that. Suffocating me, weighing me down. I can't breathe, I can't breathe. Even if I wanted to conform, my soul would never let me. Even if I wanted to fit in, my heart would never let me. Even if I wanted to conform, my soul would never let me. Even if I wanted to fit in, my heart would never let me. Tell me who decided that this is the way it's gotta be. Look, man-made rules, man-made scams, we can't breathe. They deceive, keep us in grief, stunt our belief, make our faith cease. F these chiefs. Even if I wanted to conform, my soul would never let me. Even if I wanted to fit in, my heart would never let me. Even if I wanted to conform, my soul would never let me. Even if I wanted to fit in, my heart would never let me. I've got life, I'm breathing. I can't complain about nothing. I'm on my way, no stopping, no dropping. I got the most, I praise him. Praise him, I'm too blessed to be stressed, yes. Ain't a man on earth that I fear or need to impress. More so and less flesh. I ain't about expensive dress. They keep us clean and fiend, make us into machines, cause they want us to feed economic progress. But me, I'm focused on the richness of life. Even if if I wanted to conform, my soul would never let me. Even if I wanted to fit in, my heart would never let me. Even if I wanted to conform, my soul would never let me. Even if I wanted to fit in, my heart would never let me. Even if I wanted to conform, said my soul would never, ever, ever, ever let me. Even if I wanted to fit in, my heart. Even if I wanted to conform, my soul would never let me. Even if I wanted to fit in, my heart would never let me. La da 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 da. 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 La da 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 da. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. La di 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 di. Thank you. That was called Never Let Me. About not conforming and being who you were created to be. Thank you so much. And we got AA seminars. The final song is called Love Finds a Way. And it's about knowing that love transcends every barrier, every boundary. Love is powerful enough to do that. And yes, final song. Hope you like it. Sisters, sisters, we've been down for too long. So brother, brother man, we've been down for way too long. But love will find a way. Love always finds a way. Love will find a way. Love always finds a way. Sisters, sisters, we've been down for way too long. So, brothers, we've been down for way too long. But guess what? Love will find a way. Oh yes, love always finds a way. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yes, love will find a way. Love always finds a way. Breathe, don't rush, hush, and quench this lust and trust. Weeping endures just for a night. Sometimes pain is necessary to prove that love must always find a way. Keep your heart true, stay true to you. Change your mindset, let your mind rest. Without the rainy days, how would we grow and know our true potential? I know that life will get sweeter. Life will get sweeter for me. Life will get sweeter for me. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yes. Life will get sweeter for me. 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 I know I can be what I wanna be. If I work hard at it, I'll be what I wanna be. I know I can be what I wanna be. If I work hard at it,
I'll be what I wanna be, bit of sauce now. I know I can be what I wanna be if I work hard at it. I'll be what I wanna be, wanna be, wanna be. I know I can be what I wanna be if I work hard at it. I'll be what I wanna be. I know I can be what I wanna be if I work hard at it. I'll be what I wanna be. I know I can be what I wanna be. Yeah, if I work hard at it, I'll be what I wanna be. Love will find a way somehow. Love always finds a way. Love will find a way. Love always finds a way. Thank you for listening. Got IK on the guitar.
Sorry, I know that was loud. But you know what? You guys came on and just smashed the place. Tonya Soulbird, ladies and gentlemen, and IK on the guitar right there. Now, where should I start? Like, I heard when you put in the little AA seminars in there, so big shouts going out to you for that one alone. You know what I mean? That's some freestyle business going on there, you know what I mean? Now, let's just say, for example, I wanted to have a voice like yours. What do I need? Like strepsils, lockets, or maybe some Vicks? What do I need?
God.
Oh, okay,
yes,
okay,
yes,
all right.
God.
Any psalms I can look into, kind of like fast track me?
You can say a quick prayer.
Oh, God, say a quick prayer. All right. So you look like you're seasoned. Like you've been doing this like for 20 years and stuff like that. Like I'm not talking about look as in like you look like you're that old, but you look like you've been doing this for a long time.
We've been performing for about 3 years together. About 2018.
Okay, so you always perform as a duo most of the times, yeah?
Yeah,
or
when we
always?
do live sets, yeah. I prefer live than PA.
Yeah?
Yeah, so anytime.
Okay, no, it works. Yeah. It works 1,000%. And you guys went out there and killed it.
Thank you.
So, as an artist with yourself,
Yeah.
how long have you been performing?
So I've been performing since about 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, so I
only a
started
few
writing
years.
in 2016. Started performing in 2017.
So that means you've got like a natural ability to the stage and performing live.
I think growing and going through different shows,
Yes.
I've definitely have found my own identity now.
And how long have you been doing guitar work?
Maybe since 2012, so 9 years now, kind of a long time, yeah.
And have you guys always performed together live or?
Yes, we have a mutual friend,
Yeah.
and IK actually performs with him. And yeah, he introduced me to IK, and I was like,
I actually
wow.
saw it at Newham Nights.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a show at Newham Nights and Newham Theatre, I think.
Newham Nights, is that like
Open mic kind of.
Okay.
Open mic,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I must have just finished church and I was with my friend with my guitar and I was like, okay, that's quite good.
Yeah.
So one of those.
Because you guys like mold very well together in doing your thing.
He's really amazing, honestly.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. You both work together amazing.
Thank you.
So, what can we be looking out for you?
I drop things when I'm led. So I don't really have a structure. It's just whenever something drops in my spirit, then I just drop it. So last week I dropped a Thrive freestyle. I literally wrote the words and I thought, you know
Hold
what?
on. Fried freestyle.
No, Thrive.
Thrive.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
It's the
I was like, what? Like cooking? Like food?
No, it's broccoli.
Yeah, they sound like that fried freestyle, a food freestyle. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just dropped that on Sunday.
Okay.
I just passed and I just drop it as it comes. So I never have like a pressure or like force myself. It just naturally flows. Yeah.
So you don't really know how often you're going to be releasing stuff, just when it kind of
drops.
When you get that inspiration, you
But
just drop something
I
new.
did drop an album last year.
Okay.
In February, which is the songs I performed today are from that.
Okay.
So yeah.
And how many tracks was on the album?
9 tracks.
Okay, so and where can they find the album?
Spotify, Apple Music.
Yep.
Deezer, and all of those.
Okay, so now's the time to plug yourself. Like, where can people find out about you, and what's coming next, etc., etc.?
I'll say social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Tonya Soulbird, which is TONIA SOULBIRD. On all platforms.
I think you're going to have to do that one again because some people are like, what?
So it's TONIA SOULBIRD.
So it's Tonya Soulbird.
Yes.
Okay.
Word, yes.
Now, everybody's probably going to be watching this, thinking to themselves like, you know what? No, I need a guitarist, you know, because like I got my tune and I need this little riff to get played. Like,
maybe.
What about you, Rev? What about you?
Social media is IK_AB.
As in, hold on. As in, letter K?
Yeah, India Kilo _Alpha Bravo.
Okay. Nice and simple.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a virtual round of applause for Tonya Soulbird and IK?
Thank you.
Okay, so we're back. Let me just get rid of these microphones out of my hand. We're back. We're going to go back to the panelists and welcome back our hostess, our moderator, Gracey Mae.
Woo! Welcome back, everyone. This is AAA, Access All Areas, your AAA pass to the music industry. If you are watching us, please follow us online on the social platforms at AAA Seminars. And if you have a question that pops into your mind at any time during this panel, please, we want to hear from you. Put your question in the comments or hit us up on Twitter and Instagram, and we will be talking to our distinguished guests with your questions. With that said, let me reintroduce who I've got on stage. So to my right, I've got Francesca, Ben Winter, and Kwame Kwaten. Oh no, DJ Longers, there's no sound effects. It's okay, I'll do my own. Do. And then on the Zoom, we have Cherise Beaumont, Kwaku, Michelle Escofree, Kienda Hodgie, Dr. Monique Charles, and Amo Tawa. Round of applause, please, for our distinguished guests. And for those on stage, yes, support me. Thank you so much. All right, welcome back. So far, we have had some really honest conversation about racism in the UK music industry. On top of that, we have gone through a couple of solutions that I feel like will really make a change, including widening your network and improving your net worth, including plugging into some of the amazing programs that our distinguished panelists are a part of, and of course, the beauty in diversity, seeing it at a top level and letting it trickle all the way down so that we can affect some real change. With that said, today is Black Pound Day. A quick reminder, support a Black business today. That could be anybody on the stage, myself included. Are we doing cash apps? Is it too soon? Okay, I'll tell you my cash app after. Thank you very much. And with that said, I feel like it's time for us to talk a little bit about the Black Music Coalition. Kwame, I'm looking at you, sir. Now, hi. You guys are doing such amazing work. Let me get a little intro. So the Black Music Coalition is dedicated to eradicating racial injustice and establishing equality for Black execs, artists, and their communities within the music industry. Is it relevant? Is there a need for it? Or are we just doing too much?
No, it's totally relevant. It's totally relevant. Just because I guess it's a new organization, people kind of always look at something like that and go, well, okay, what's the point of another new organization? But the truth of it is, yes, it is needed. And I think actually the fact that there were 5 sort of main points, don't ask me to recite them, but 5 main points that were put out there for the industry to actually look at was really, really significant. Also, I think the Zoom calls that happened at the time were tremendously exciting. And it's, in a way, it knows it's got a way to go. But you need, you know what, you need the core members here is what you need. So you need the 4 women in charge to be sat here, really, for them to give you the full lowdown. But yeah, it's been amazing to be a part of, definitely, or to have even been asked to have been in the Zoom room. Yeah. Definitely.
Now, with your experience, you're a seasoned veteran in the game, an elder, if you will. Talk to me about passing that kind of knowledge and experience on to the quote unquote next generation, and talk to us about how you kind of see the change in the new guys' hands.
The change in the new guys' hands, how do you mean?
So as an elder, you've seen a lot.
Yeah.
As some of us that might have been born in the 90s, I might claim the 2000s, depending on the day you ask me. What kind of change do you see us making?
Okay. Someone spoke earlier about movements from the ground up. I think the thing really is not being afraid of movements from the ground up. I think, so for instance, with what happened with grime, very, very important. Born out of necessity, definitely. The thing about actually people going, okay, we're going to do it and we're going to do it our way. But that coinciding with the fact that there is now a distribution method that doesn't need approval, right? So you can put your music up and it can be heard around the world. And you know, we're seeing, I guess, the evolution of that happen every week with the amount of songs, Black music artists that there are in the charts, not just in the sort of lower end of the charts, but at number one, and in the top 10. But the truth is, yes, ownership is a big one. And there is a lot, obviously, for me in this space, the space that you're talking about, the passing of torches, etc. We've been involved, many of the people on this panel know, I've been involved in that since 1997. So putting on seminars, talking about just this, how do you get on? In fact, our event, one of the nicknames that people had for it was the Get Work Network, because our thing was literally just about networking and learning about the industry, but learning about the industry from, I guess, almost like oral tradition, and people actually taking notes and actually beginning to build networks and build their own businesses from that. So we started with the Urban Music Seminar in 97 to 2005. That's creating vision, and we then changed to the Ultimate Seminar in 2010, of which Kenda has done great for us with housing that at Westminster University. Again, and all of our events have been free, and they've been about just that, which is passing the torch, drop the mic, stop.
Love that. Now you touched on grime. Obviously, Drill had their first UK #1 with Tion Wayne's track just a couple of weeks ago. Are they still #1? Not too sure.
No, not anymore. But the thing is, it's all. This is what I mean. You know, what did they say? What's the term when you step on the shoulders of giants? Stand on the. Yeah, many people have come beforehand in order to make that happen. It's really, really important. I don't think it's necessarily the drill people's, it's not for them necessarily to do. But I think the whole thing about historically documenting what is happening now is really important, and then tying it back through the ages is a really, really important thing. I know Michael Riley's doing some big work in that area, but yeah, this UK Black music thing, and it becoming, as we've seen, you know, with Drill, with Tion Wayne, with what's happened, you know, that's not just a #1 here, that's Australia, that's etc. So that's in other countries as well. But I'm not surprised, right? You know, I'm not surprised. There will be more. And if people and organizations and labels wake up to the correct amount of investment to acts like that, and not just acts like that, actually the back room as well. So developing, as Ben, you know, linking in with things like Power Up, developing the next gen, you know, business superstars of tomorrow, and actually investing properly, then we're going to see a lot more, you know, than just that, where we will see it again and again and again and again. And that way everybody wins, because the problem with what we've seen beforehand is actually the music industry has been losing. It's been losing big time by just not diversifying. It's just lost and lost and lost and lost. It's thought it's been winning, but it hasn't. You know, England will always sit here and say, oh yeah, we're great, we do great internationally, blah, blah, look at Adele, etc. It's like, dude, you could have so much more if you invested in the right places. Mic drop.
I love it when you say that. Now, everything you said is so right. I think the theme that I got from that is lift as you climb. It's a saying that is said back at home. I'm from Nigeria originally. And yeah, when you translate one of the parables, it says lift as you climb. And I feel like you've definitely done that. Even when we talk about passing the torch in quotes, you're still around for a bit.
Yeah.
You just touched on numbers, and I have a few. Amo, I hope you're ready. We are segueing to you quite smoothly. The UK music website has said that the music industry contributed to £5.8 billion of the UK's economy in 2019. That's up 11%. Employment in the industry as well is at an all-time high, with almost 20,000 people in the UK belong to the music industry as of 2019. Apparently,
200,000. It's 200,000.
Sorry, sir. Yes, you're right. 200,000, extra zero on that. The total export revenue of the music industry was 2.9 billion in 2019 as well. My question to you is, how much of that money is the Black community seeing as part of the UK music industry?
I don't know, would be the honest answer. What I can talk a little bit about is how it looks from perhaps say 2016 to 2020, some of the data shifts and some of the people moving in, and also some of the gaps and the holes. And this is pretty sort of common knowledge amongst a lot of us in the Zoom and in the room, you know. So we know that the percentages are going up in the right direction. So in 2016, there was around 16% Black, Asian, and other ethnic minorities. And in 2020, it's around 23%. So it's going up. The problem is, and the national average of Black, Asian, and minority communities is around 13% in the UK. So if you say 23%, it sounds quite good. It's like 10% above national average, which sounds quite good. We ain't doing too bad, are we? But actually, if you go to where most of the data is collected and where most of the industry is based, London, pockets in Birmingham and Manchester, those cities are nearly 40% plus minority communities. So actually, the data, you can read it in however you want. It's not as good as what it looks from a UK perspective. And actually, if you look at entry level versus senior level, well, you know, you've seen the slides. It starts off really good, and then it gets harder and harder and harder. And we know that there's issues in the middle. And you can dig deep and get really granular and forensic on the data. But most of us know through lived experience, it's women tend not to get into those higher positions. Why? Because perhaps policies and labels or trade bodies are not good enough to support women when people are having children. That's these are really honest, unfortunate, hard discussions we have to have. If you take an intersectional perspective, so if you take women get paid in the music industry less, that's a fact. If you are from an ethnic minority, you get paid less. So someone like Michelle who or Sharice who'd work, if you take an intersectional perspective, it's a double whammy for Black women. And this is not something that I've made up. Michelle and Sharice, they could have told you that 15, 20 years ago. But now I think what we're all saying, we're saying we need to be better with our data, and then we need to hold people accountable with repercussions. So the stuff that Blim are doing is really, really important, because people always talk about, well, where's your evidence base? Well, as we have great evidence base and lived experience, we know how hard it is. We know the racism exists, but now actually what we're beginning to do is triangulate that information, data versus lived experience versus roundtables. And now we're saying, who can argue with us now? What are you going to do?
Intersectionality is a key word there. And obviously as a Black female, I feel like it's a conversation, like you've said, that we've all been having, experiencing sexism and racism talk less of those that are part of the LGBTQ community, given that we are in the middle of Pride Month. With all the stats that you've given us then, talk to us about the UK Music Diversity Survey. What would you say is the highlight that has come out of that? And what would you say would be the most surprising thing that has come out of this year's survey or the latest survey?
So the survey and the report, the survey is good, but there's no point in having a survey unless you have actions. So the good thing that came out of the survey was the 10-point plan. The problem is there's no point in having a plan unless you're going to root and branch and audit your plan. So what we've done is we've done some real behind this. We've been working sort of tirelessly for the last 9 months, just making sure that we've got the right systems in place, because a lot of the conversations we're having is about systems change and solutions. So when Kwame mentions, you know, the Brits changing systems, sometimes it's really simple stuff. Just change your voting academy and watch the systems change and exponentially become better and more relevant, because what we're not forgetting is we've got to be careful we don't become irrelevant. And you set up pockets, so the independent sector, BBK, Merky, all those guys, they're just doing their own thing through a machine, but they're doing their own thing. So the connectivity needs to be better. I've forgotten the question, but.
Key things from the survey, but you've let us know that the report is best, and there's a 10-point plan.
It's a 10-point plan.
Yeah.
And
can you elaborate on any points from that plan for anyone that's not familiar?
Yeah, I mean, this 10 points is kind of like what we're saying in this conversation. Look, we need to get better. We need to have metrics. We need accountability. Let's get rid of those acronyms. One of the harder things that came out were the disparity between gender pay gap and ethnic pay gap. They were really hard things for us to really go, oh my God. And now we have evidence. And so nobody can, hopefully women and ethnic minorities and Black women can say, look, this is what's going on. This is not acceptable in 2021. And the evidence is there. So that was a little bit daunting for us, but we kind of knew it anyway.
Yeah, we definitely knew.
We knew.
I know you've mentioned ethnic minorities. Ben earlier referenced ethnic backgrounds. I'm also trying to change my language to see if it makes a difference into the way we're related to and the way we relate with each other. So just a key tip for everyone on the call. Can we try ethnic backgrounds instead of minorities? All right, with that said, I know you called on
majority, that's all.
Global majority, come on, say it with your chest. I love that.
Yes.
Sharice, while we have you then, let's talk about the survey that you are involved in, the Black Lives in Music survey. Now, the descriptor here is a groundbreaking exercise that's key to understanding the issues of diversity in our industry. Let us know all about the survey and give us a bit more insight into what you're hoping will happen as a result of this.
The survey came about as I was trying to do a business plan for an organisation in regards to diversity, and I just couldn't find any data on Black musicians at all. Just nothing. There wasn't anything there. There was the workforce like AMO and the UK Music Diversity Task Force. That was there. That's solid, but there was nothing on musicians, and we thought about creating a survey about the lived experience so we can actually have some data on what musicians and professionals are going through in the music industry. So we're crunching those figures out now. I can give you some stats because I'm tired of actually sitting on them for so long. But I'll let some out.
Can I just tell everybody to fill it in? Can I tell everybody that it's a very, very brilliant survey and everybody should be filling it in? Definitely.
Please signpost us. Where can we find the survey so we can fill it out?
The survey's closed.
Oh,
but it's an annual survey, and that's the point. Like Amo said, it's about holding organisations to account. It's about metrics and measurement and evaluation and progress. So we want to see some things changed. So we've got so many headlines in the survey. I'm getting a little bit emotional thinking about it. That's that whole trauma thing. But I'll give you one of our headlines, which is 87% of Black musicians believe that 87% of Black musicians and professionals, that's nearly 9 out of 10, say there's barriers in progress for their career. So now our job, and I guess every person's on the panel as well, job is how do we break down those barriers? So Amo alluded to roundtables. So we're having conversations behind the scenes with labels through BMC, Black Music Coalition. We're having roundtables with funders. We're having roundtables with orchestras, which is my remit, and education, because those barriers start from grassroots. They start with young Black musicians not having access to an instrument. Then if they do get access to an instrument and they flourish in it and they want to learn how to make music, the next step is going into education, another barrier. Do they get into the do they get into the conservatoires? Do they get an opportunity to have higher education? Do they pass the audition? Do they have enough education or quality education to understand what it means to pass an audition? And then if they even get through that, and this is why I was saying mental health is important, even if they get through that and they're studying a conservatoire, can they stay the 4 years to ensure that they are treated the same way in this Eurocentric curriculum, like Kienda alluded to earlier on? Like, for example, jazz music is our music. It's Black music. It's a Black art form. However, the majority of the canon is made up of European composers. There's one Miles Davis song on there, for crying out loud, but this is a Black art form. You've got Black musicians learning how to play jazz in this conservatoire being delivered by non-Black or you know what I'm trying to say, white teachers, because there's only 2% of ethnically diverse, that's what I like to say, ethnically diverse teachers, and they feel alienated. They're treated different. This is systemic. They asked us the other day, and you're going to talk about it, the Sewell report, does institutional racism exist or systemic racism exist? Yes, it does in the music industry. It absolutely does. And it's our point to prove it. So I'm just saying about the barriers there, and we called it the funnel. There's so many dropouts in regards to education, in regards to making a career. And then as you can see with orchestras, whether it's jazz music or classical music, where are the Black people? You've got Chineke, you've got polarizations, you've got Tomorrow's Warriors, you've got things going on, but it's polarization. Where are the Black people, even when they go through all of those barriers, like warriors, if you would, they still don't even get to play in an orchestra. That's what we're going through. So the data, that's just one aspect of the data that we're looking at. There's loads of headlines, just like what Kwame and Amo was saying in terms of the financial aspect. I want to reveal it, but we've talked about it a lot already on here. But you're right, we can do a whole report on the Black women. We plan to do that as well. We just need to just pull out Black women, and here's the report of what we're going through as Black women. And so there is a lot in it. Sorry, back to my question. There's a lot in it, and we can't wait to share it with you. And we thank everybody for sharing their stories with us, because we plan to do you justice. We plan to fight. We're not just fighting on social media. We're having those conversations. We're holding them to account. And the one thing the one thing I do disagree with everybody on here, and you know me, I'm always against the grain. I do believe the onus is on them. I do believe we give them a 10-point plan. We give them an EDI strategy. We give them our recommendations from the report, and all they want to do is tick box and say, yeah, okay, I've done that. Yeah, can we do that? In our the change has to be done through education. They need to understand and make change systemically within their organizations, in my personal opinion. I'm finished now. Sorry, Grace, go ahead.
No, I mean, please don't apologize. You're doing amazing work. We're having a mini round of applause here on the stage.
Yeah.
I think you're right. It's so difficult being the oppressed and having the responsibility to do the education. Sometimes it doesn't have to rest on our shoulders, even though the ones, like, it's not bad enough that we're experiencing it. We now have to relive the trauma to teach you how to be better. Yeah, something definitely has to change. Talking about trauma though, this is Francesca's bag. Please talk to us about key ways, and I know we touched on this earlier, about what we experience as Black people, but key stat, 1 in 4 people in the country experience mental health illness, correct? And okay, vulnerable moment for me. I've got mental health issues on both sides of my family. So there's history of schizophrenia, depression, and all kinds of things. And when you compress that with sexism, when you compress that with racism, when you compress that with the boundaries that Sharice just spoke about, when you compress that with just every day, we've been in a pandemic, we're still in a pandemic, a panoramic, a pan of chocolat. How do we take care of our mental health in crazy times? Please speak to us.
That's such a loaded question, and thank you for being so vulnerable and transparent and sharing that. And I think conversations like this is so helpful because it normalizes the conversation. And I think we know that mental health in the Black community, as much as we're starting to talk about it more, it still is a stigma and it still is a taboo, unfortunately. So first of all, having these conversations and normalizing it. And if somebody mentions it, if someone speaks about their mental health, kind of just responding in an empathic way, like having those conversations with people you trust, creating an ecosystem around you, but trying to make sure that if you do have those conversations, it is in a genuine space, safe space, not with people that are going to judge you or people that are going to ostracize you even more or seclude you even more or make you feel less than. Because what I always say is we all have mental health, just like we have physical health. The only thing is there's a spectrum. So sometimes, depending on what we're going through, we have poor mental health. Sometimes we have good mental health, and that is fine. We all have it. It's, you know, it's not, if you have mental health difficulties, that doesn't necessarily mean you have a diagnosed mental health illness. So that would definitely be my first thing. But also, really talking to somebody, you know, there are services available within the NHS. You can get counseling, you can get therapy. There is a conversation about, you know, whether it's helpful to have that conversation with someone that looks like you, because a lot of trauma that Black people do experience is from racism, and that is a form of abuse. One thing that we use in psychology, we use the DSM, a diagnostic statistical manual, and we actually use that to look at symptoms of different diagnoses. And unfortunately, racial trauma isn't actually acknowledged. However, we experience the same symptoms that somebody with post-traumatic stress disorder would experience. So nightmares, flashbacks, depression, anxiety. Sometimes it can be as bad as having suicidal thoughts. But this is the reality. You know, people are experiencing this on a day-to-day basis, and it can grate on somebody. And depending on, you know, somebody's historical mental health, sometimes it can even, you know, be psychological or biological, you know, generation to generation. Intergenerational trauma, you know, is a complete other thing as well. We're dealing with trauma that has been passed down from generations to generations. So it is a lot that we're carrying. So in terms of tips, definitely speak to someone, create a safe space for you. If you can get referred for therapy, definitely do that. If you feel you need to speak to someone that looks like you, please don't be afraid to kind of ask for it. But also the basics like your sleep, you know, your healthy eating, making sure that you have a routine. I think in the pandemic, that was a really simple thing, but a really key thing that really helped. And also having boundaries, knowing your capacity at different stages and seasons, being able to say no. You know, being able to say no because you know that you're protecting yourself, and there's nothing wrong with saying no. When you say no to someone, you're actually saying yes to yourself. But I'm gonna leave it there. So.
I love that. When you say no to someone, you're saying yes to yourself. Dr. Monique, I need to bring you in because you are a sound therapist specializing in tuning forks. Yep, so right. I definitely need to know loads more about that, given the fact that we're talking about solutions when it comes to being in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of a systemically and systematically racist industry. Talk to us.
Okay, so there's a couple of things I wanted to say. Firstly, we're talking about racism, and I know you mentioned the Oxford definition. As my master's was actually in race and ethnic relations. My undergraduate degree was in psychology, so I'm not a chartered psychologist, but I do have some knowledge in that area. Now, racism itself is systematic. So we do talk about institutional racism or systematic racism. The word racism itself incorporates that. It also incorporates aspects of capitalism and the fiscal or the financial things that we're talking about here. So we're circling around these things. I think once people have a clear understanding that racism includes power, groups, and systems, then we can begin to understand the framework more clearly, and then we can start to find solutions that are more appropriate to deal with that.
Can I quickly ask you just a question there?
Yes.
Are you able to elaborate on the difference between systematic racism and systemic racism?
Okay, well, not off the top of my head, but ultimately what I am saying here is it is in the very fabric of the institutions and the structures of the society that we have come to be in. You know, when we think about, I suppose, in some respects of how Black people or people of the African diaspora relate to time in the West, we're wondering, why are we in this position now? We look back, so we have almost an automatic way of trying to understand where we are now because of where we've come or our traumatic past, and in doing so, we do begin to understand that there is a system in place, even if we don't fully understand that on a conscious level. Okay, when we're thinking about the music industry, Negus talks about this. I've got his book here. It's an old book now. Culture makes the music industry, and music industry makes the culture. So obviously, if we're living in a racist society, this will inform the knowledge and the ways that people are understood, and in turn will inform the senior people's decisions about who belongs in what music genre and who gets allocated funding and all that sort of thing. So I think you guys have already touched on that in terms of, you know, the music industry is a reflection of wider society. They both definitely feed into each other. When it comes to, because racism is systemic or systematic, it involves power and racial difference, it's also connected to resources. So although we have what is cultural capital, or what Ben referred to as social
equity.
That's the one, social equity. So, you know, we would call that social capital. So we have that already, yeah? But there is a material element that we do actually need. We do need access to resources and to money. We've got it. They know that we've got it. That's why they built an industry to extract that from us and extract that from, and in doing so, extracting that from us, they can make money. I have a theory called the Columbus sphere where I talk about this extraction of our intangible culture for them to make money, and creating ways of understanding it and feeding it back to us that actually do give us psychological damage and cause a trauma for us, because we're being divorced from ourselves, from the essence of ourselves, divorced from our cultural and creative productions. But if we move quickly on to the sound therapy. Sound therapy, I specialize in tuning forks. And what I love about the work that I do is you don't have to say anything. You can just lie there. I'll do the forks. The forks cleanse your auric field. They'll align your chakras. They do all these whizzy, amazing things, and people can come out feeling refreshed. So with that, you know, people find, I mean, I've done it for some people who have lost people in Corona, for example, and although they still feel sad, it's taken the intensity of the pain away. What it does is it helps the brain to release chemicals into the body to help flush out places where trauma is stored in the body. It can be stored in the body or the auric field. And this is just part of how we live our lives. You know, some people might get nervous and get a dodgy tummy, or when somebody gets stressed, they have a problem with their ankle or something. These are places where we naturally just store things ourselves. The forks help to activate chemicals that release into your body that can kind of help flush these things out. And the way that you experience that could be feeling of flying, seeing colors, hearing the ancestors, all sorts of things happen. But it's a really nice way to kind of help people without words.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds incredible. I might be calling you after. Thank you so much, though, for fleshing out the definition of racism. I think one of the things that we often skim over when we're looking at it is, you know, there's different types, right? There's prejudice, there's discrimination, and there's racism.
Yeah.
So prejudice is usually defined as a thought. Discrimination is usually the thought plus the action.
Yeah.
And then racism is the thought plus the action plus the power. And I guess the power is the bit that we haven't really fleshed on. We've spoken about ecosystems, we've spoken about everybody else, but when we look at the bare bones of it, the difference or the disparity is the power piece.
Can I just say one other thing about power?
Go ahead, please.
So power, when we think about power, although I shouldn't really quote Michel Foucault because he's a thief, when people think about power, they think this person has power and I have none. power actually circulates. So if we think about what we have as cultural capital, okay, we might not always have the material aspect or the fiscal aspect, but there are ways that we can, with the democratization of technology, we can start to leverage these things in our favor. With the internet coming up alongside grime, which came about through which I kind of released or put out in my research, you know, the industry, they want to make money. That's the ultimate goal. You know, we were making music before Negro spirituals, wherever. We were doing this, right? The industry comes along. If we move to the US, you know, they've got race records. They want to try and get in and make money. Yeah. So we've been doing it. The internet and these other distribution, like Kwame said, has enabled us to find other ways of doing it. The industry, all the EDI, all this stuff is about legal protection. You know, you don't want to get sued, don't want to get into any kind of sticky situations, right?
Come on.
And so what it is we have the tools that we need, at least in terms of cultural capital. We might have to be a bit, you know, bootstrap and be innovative in terms of how we can finance it, because the material aspect is what has been continually stolen from us, which has also led to psychological and trauma and all that sort of stuff as well. But ultimately, I think what I'm trying to say here is the industry are aware, the industry are aware that there is a power dynamic. They know how to play their part to keep us with people engaged. And it's with grime, they built themselves up on their own terms. Some went into the industry in the late noughties, didn't really like it and decided to get out and do their own thing. I don't even know if I've got a complete direction, but we do have the cultural capital or the social equity. We do have these things, and it is about working together, but it's about all of us playing our part. So whilst we're here, you know, you guys are on the ground. You guys are the practitioners, the people that are in the boardrooms and doing all this. I'm just here to try and maybe give a broader overview to kind of maybe help to kind of shape or sharpen how you plan to do it. So we've all got a role to play. I think I'll just stop there.
No, and I mean, I could listen to you for hours. The knowledge that you're spilling, yeah, it's needed. Ben wanted to jump in. Go ahead.
I think it's really important that when we discuss, I think it's really important that we deal with fact, and whilst we have some theories, that those theories have to be backed up with data and fact. You know, when we put together Power Up, we put together 8 different steering committees. We spoke to around 100 different people that work in the industry, Black people that work in the industry, so that we could deal with intersectionality and we could look at different areas of issues that are affecting Black people in the industry. So if you're female, if you're LGBTQI+, or, you know, what if you had a disability, whatever it was, we wanted to make sure that we were representing for everyone. And one of the things that came out through that was about social capital, cultural capital, and the lack thereof. And that was one of the things that came through every single focus group that we had. And what that was there was a real lack of opportunity and of knowledge of who was in the industry, how to access people in the industry, and the successes of other Black people in the industry. And that, because there was that disconnect, that meant that there was a lack of social capital. So on the one hand, I fully understand what you're saying, that, you know, we have that. Yes, we do to a degree, but in practice, in the actual business, it is still not there. And that's why we need to create these networks so that people do know that, you know what, Kwame's been here in the game, I know, 30 plus years, and he's had these successes, and now he's sitting on this board, and that's someone that needs to be visible. That, you know, I was listening to the Keith Harris the Did You Know podcast earlier, and, you know, someone like Keith Harris that's run Motown, that's managed Stevie Wonder, people like Mickey D that had numerous #1 Black artists and paved the way for many of the Black A&Rs that you see before.
if you're not aware of those people and you can't connect with those people and you can't get the knowledge from those people, that's where we're missing our social capital. Because I can call Kwame, but you know what? That person over there might not be able to. And we have to create those networks to give us the social capital in order to do that.
Can I just say something, Grace? I just wanted to, is it all right if I just want to say something that actually just pulls some of this together. I think what's really interesting about this, and it's what we've always really have said, and that is that there is an important understanding here. And that is that, you know, we've, Amo and I and others around the UK Diversity Task Force have had this conversation. The music industry, in terms of us, is uniquely positioned in order to illustrate one paradigm in a very, very clear way that other industries potentially don't. And that is that we effectively have been product ourselves. Not that we make the product, that's one thing, that we make the music, but we, as you know, in terms of occupying that performance space, occupying the artist space, have been able to generate that capital for the industry. So we talk about cultural capital. I think it's important to understand that it's not just in itself that it exists in isolation, but it exists within a paradigm, which is capitalism. Mm-hmm. So when we start talking about capitalism and what capitalism is about, having that deeper understanding of what that means then creates our ability to be able to see exactly where the power actually lies. Pyro, I always quote this as a great rap group from I think from Colombia in the States, always said, we have become masters in allowing the masters to control the masters to our rhymes. You know, in fact, that's what we have spent time doing. And that's why I think that it was important for us when we started to talk about ownership just prior to the break, to start thinking about this paradigm of cultural capital and how it's owned. Because the research, for example, that I'm doing is about that point at which the transition of ownership actually happens. And that's in the contracting process. So for example, if we think about major labels when they sign artists, I'm beginning now and will be revealed very soon, some shocking stuff that builds on the revelation BMG chose to make just in around December. This stuff goes so deep when we start to look, and my mind was blown even the other week when I saw some old contracts from some, we will be naming people, trust me. But in terms of the fact that the differential between the prices or the amounts paid by way of advance, the net receipts figures that are quoted in the contracts, and how that is different for different people, forgetting even talking about publishing, which is where we're talking about ownership of the material. In those contracts, we begin to see really what they understand, and I'm talking about the capitalists that sit at the top of the industry, understand by the value of our cultural capital and how we effectively drive the industry, and reason why we need to be in the boardrooms to make these decisions that allows us to be able to benefit from that. And that cuts to the whole question about power and control and who actually really has power. One of the really important things for everybody to understand is that the prominence of Black artists around the world, the Jay-Z's, the Beyoncé's, what have you, belies or basically eliminates one truth. And as there are people that I speak to all the time, and they say, well, there's no racism. Look at Beyonce, look at Jay-Z, they're really huge, right? Well, actually, that's fine. But then they also, the hugeness of them underlines the power paradigm, the problem, the paradox that exists there, that we've got these people, but where is the control in the business side? Where is the, how is that being controlled? Where are those things, where are those decisions being made and who by? And when we look at that, we see a very different picture. One final thing I want to say, Grace, just in relation to the surveys, I'm going to propose something, so action point, that just suddenly struck me. We've got the UK Diversity Task Force survey. We've got the survey that Charisse was talking about. I'm proposing that what we do in the next couple of months is get together, because I've got an idea. And that is when we start to look at the cross sections, the cross referencing of the subject matter, I have a feeling that we will reveal something very interesting. Because actually, on the one hand, if you've got the UK Diversity Task Force survey, which talks about the disparities that exist within the work in industry, and that we're able then to look at the value that artists and the position of artists, the perspectives of artists, then we're able to cross-reference the results of these surveys. And what I'm suggesting is what we do is we get together as many of these surveys as possible for the sheer purpose of creating a final overarching macro study which begins to draw lines between these things, that highlights the fact that we've got artists who believe a certain thing or are in certain positions, but then that's completely out of sync with the position of Black executives in the record labels. And I think those kinds of comparisons will reveal some incredibly deep things and potentially incredibly disturbing things, and takes our struggle to a much higher level. Trust me, I know that will happen, certainly from the research that we're doing already.
And I truly believe that's a brilliant idea, to corroborate both reports against each other, to really say what the front end and the back end looks like. It strides, it literally is strides. Ben, I know you wanted to quickly jump in, but before you do, I did just want to quickly comment. There is a point there around tokenism. And yes, we can look at the Beyoncés, the Rihannas, the Stormzys of this world and say that because they're doing well, the Black people within the music industry are doing well. But at what point do we look at the average and say, what does the average artist make? How does the average exec get promoted? Ben, to you.
Just to that last point that you make, Ken, there is, well, if you speak to Joe or Yao, they're in the process of trying to pull together a round table for many of the people on this call and people that aren't on this call that are representing various different groups, to do a round table so that we can work out a cohesive plan moving forward. So check in with them. But outside of that, it was, with regards to social capital, I just wanted to be clear that when I'm talking about social capital, I'm talking about the ability to access people that can help to move you forward, that the ability to access people with knowledge and resources that can help to elevate you and move you to another level. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about our cultural capital and the fact that, you know, our music and the music that we've made is valuable and that we're strong and all of that. I'm talking about the fact that it's about moving people up and being able, in the same way that, you know, you might have a white executive that brings in his nephew and makes him, in fact, you know, you can talk about, I said I listened to the Keith Harris podcast earlier. He talks about the fact that he was running Motown and that he was moved out of the job to bring in a white executive that didn't know as much as him and was asked to support him because that white executive had a relationship. So that's what I'm referring to.
Very cool.
And sorry, I just want to make sure that everyone on the panel gets a chance to speak. Michelle, you've been quite quiet. I can see you nodding. We've been speaking about knowledge and access. Give us a little story about your experience, especially early in the game. And yeah, let us know whether everything that we've been speaking about in theory was a reality for you. Let us know.
100%. And you know what Ben just mentioned a second ago, for me, I feel that I was very fortunate coming in because I had older sisters. And with that, I had older, I had access to older professionals. So I could go to other producers. I could go to managers of producers. I could go to other songwriters and people within the industry and ask questions and be that pest. I was the pest that would go into the studio and be like, what's that for? Why did you press that? Why did you do this? How comes this takes so long? I was able to ask those kind of questions and have people within my community of practice that could advise, that are already in front of me doing it. And I think that that's something that's so important in terms of sharing the social knowledge and capital. Our cultural capital is that we have to share intergenerational. It can't just be, okay, these people up here, they've got this knowledge and they're just sharing it amongst themselves. We have to send it both ways. We have to learn from each other, because what young creatives are doing, us as older creatives can learn from them, so much from them. They're doing things in a more innovative, more efficient way than we were doing it. And we need to pay attention to that. And they're fearless as well. We need to pay attention to that. But also we have pockets of knowledge that we can share with them, that we can say, right, well, actually in this environment, this is how you can navigate. This is what you can do in terms of keeping a work ethic. This is a good practice to have. So I think for me, I think that I was very fortunate that I was the youngest in my family. So I saw everything that happened before me and could learn and say, right, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. That was a major advantage for me. But I do feel that at this stage, we need to be having intergenerational conversations.
Agreed.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry. And my follow-up question was going to be, how do we practically facilitate that? So when we're talking about ownership, when we're talking about the music ecosystem, a lot of times we focus on the music artist. We forget about publishing. We forget about licensing. We forget about sync deals. There's a whole stream that often gets forgotten about and doesn't get shared with other members of the Black community because they see the glitz and glamour and don't realize that there's a lot of money to be made with the quote unquote back end. So Sharice, I can see that you're up, but if we can go to Michelle first and then come to you, that'd be great.
Once again, though, is, you know, like you said earlier, Gracey, your network is your net worth, and we do have to educate each other. And it's our responsibility to ask questions, not just to take it for fact. So when we see a legal agreement, one of the major things they say to you is go and get this checked out. Go and have somebody professional, a professional solicitor, look at your agreement. Ask questions. If there's something, no question is too stupid. So if there's something that you really don't understand, ask those questions. And as part of a creative community, we also have a responsibility. If we see a creative or an executive going in a strange direction, to pull them and say, listen, this, and this. This is a bump that you're going to approach down this road. This is how you can avoid that. I think that communication is one of the strongest assets that we have, and one of the things that we don't do enough. We don't talk to each other enough. We don't share our experiences enough. We don't share our knowledge with each other enough. And we need to, I mean, you know, Kwame and Ben said this earlier, we need to be having these open, frank conversations with each other and sharing our pitfalls. We like to look at people and think they're successful. Half the time they're broke and they're going home and still nyamming toast. So we need to share our pitfalls and how we can grow. What did we do to get there? Share that.
Hello.
1, 2, yeah, sorry.
Hopefully you...
Okay, technical difficulties continue, but it's all good. Thank you so much for that answer. I think the invention of Clubhouse was really fundamental to opening a lot of eyes. It was on Clubhouse actually that I found out that Krypton Conan didn't know they were in a 7-project deal. They thought it was just 5. And part of that was because the legal counsel that they received may or may not have been completely honest. Sharice, I know you wanted to jump in. Go ahead. Oh, no, she's shaking her hand. Okay, no problem. With that said, I'm looking at the time and I know that we started late, so we are going to finish a little bit later. Quick reminder, if anybody has any questions for our panel, please, please, please comment down below. You can also use social media at AAA Seminars, use the hashtag as well, and we will be asking your questions to our panel of industry experts. All right, moving on then. Kweku, I want to bring you in. I know you've been a little bit quiet as well. I'm going to ask you the same question. So Michelle said that we need to talk. And one thing about the Black community is we know how to talk. How do we talk and create change? What are the practical, in fact, let's start with how do we talk? How do I connect with somebody that has the knowledge and the access? What are the practical ways?
Good question. Because I came in late, if you don't mind, I want to backtrack a bit. And even if it's been touched on, there's no harm in reiterating things. It occurs to me that the subtitle of this meeting is 1 year on, music and racism 1 year on. So let me just give you my little story. I'm part of BritishBlackMusic.com Black Music Congress. And we had something called REMI, Race Equality in the Music Industry. And that came about in 2005 when we had the Brit So White, if you remember. That was the year that there were no Africans nominated in the Brit Award. And as a consequence of that, I started talking to the people in the music industry, like, let's talk about racism. There was a lot of enthusiasm, and I was talking to senior executives who were interested in doing things, but I think we're not really ready to engage with what I call the elephant in the room, racism. So Remy didn't go very far, and I'm glad he didn't. But last year, after the death of George Floyd, I said, and then we had those black squares. I said, let me get back to the music industry and let's see what we're gonna do in moving this forward. I looked at UK music, and I looked at they have 10 constituent organizations. I invited them all, and I invited UK music. So that was 11. 10 responded. They were happy to have personal Zoom meetings with me. We did a forum in which one person that did not respond was phoning, saying, I have to be on this thing. So we had 10 people. We talked about racism. They told us what they're doing. That's 2020. I said I was going to convene a meeting 1 year on to see where we're at. But you know something? I looked at what's going on. I said, why does it fall upon me? This does not put food on my table. Why should I be running after them to convene a meeting at my expense for them to tell me what they're doing? But nevertheless, we decided to do an event. So I just go, it's a mouthful, so let me just remember. It's called British History, Black Music, Racism, and the Music Industry, 1507 to 2020. So we're looking at the history of Black music in Britain, Africans, and the engagement with racism over 500 years. So I decided to create a space in which these organizations who had a good relationship with me, they were happy to talk, should come and tell us what they're doing. The response has not been great. What that tells me is that 2020 was a moment. People were jumping. I'm telling you, someone who was phoning, being proactive and wanting to engage with it. 2 days ago, I was on a Zoom meeting and I said, I know of Power Up. What else is happening? And if we can't talk about other things apart from Power Up, then we ain't done anything. Respect to Ben in there, he was talking to me about Power Up a year ago before it all came together. I've seen that. I scanned through Music Week. They've done their, Blackout Tuesday thing, and they've told us some stuff. But it hasn't filtered through. There's supposed to be some money that's gone out. I don't know who is going to, and we are in the industry where we don't even know. So I think that is an issue. But what the essence of what I'm saying here is now, I do not think there's that enthusiasm to engage with racism as it was last year. And if people like Amo, and I've had private chats with Amo, and I see Michelle, you guys are in the belly of the beast. If you guys are not able to rattle it and say, look, we're talking about racism, systemic racism, nothing ain't gonna change. We've seen we all have been here for a while. We've seen organizations come and go. And if you don't make your mark now, the tide will change, things change. So please ask me the question. Let me quickly answer that last question. I've done my pitch. No, but please, I want to answer the question you asked me. So can you please ask the question quickly, Grace? Oh, your microphone.
It's me.
Yeah.
It's user error. My bad. Sorry.
Go ahead.
The question was, how do we practically access the people with the knowledge?
Okay. It's all about networking. In fact, we're in the middle of what we call British Black Music Month. That's been going since 2006, where each year we put on programs. How did I come to this business? I was in the business, but I was interested in education, so I got into education. I've been in Westminster City University. I've done all the formal education stuff, but I decided to do a community thing. So our programs have got an education perspective. For example, this year, Musicians Union are doing something with us. We always do copyright at City University. We're not doing everything on Zoom. So there are different networks. So right now, I'm just plugging mine, which is British Black Music Month, where you can meet people. People can tell you what is going on. The last thing I'll say, I was on this reggae thing, and they said, I don't know about you. I said, how can you be in a sector if you don't network? It's not really the fault of that organization to some extent. You've got to do your research. Artists have got to be proactive about their careers. Long are the days when a record company signed you and they did pretty much everything for you. Artists have now got to be proactive. So if you tell you don't know about something, the internet is there. So I'm saying how to. Please go on the internet. Mr. Google is very great at giving you connections. Go Google. You see what Ben is doing. You see what Kwame is doing or has done. And yeah, respect. So let me plug bbm.eventbrite.com. You find all our events. bbm.eventbrite.com. We always put a networking aspect to our things. There's always a Q&A. For example, June 10th, is sounding off. That's a forum for people to talk about everything. There's no agenda. What is the issues in the music business? I don't want people to moan. What are some of the solutions? So that's the forum we're creating. Like I said, everything on Zoom, so it's now accessible. So please, Mr. Google is your answer if you don't know.
Amazing, Mr. Google. Used to be Ask Jeeves, right? Now we've got Mr. Google. That's great. All right, as we wrap up, I do want to come to Amo. I feel like we've spoken a lot about what we can do as a system. We've spoken about unity. We've spoken about ownership. We've spoken about looking at your contracts. I do want to ask, let's talk about pay and conditions, Amo. We know that there's a disparity. What was UK Music's official response to the report that came out? And how do we practically stand up to getting paid less than our counterparts who may or may not be as qualified?
We presented the findings. Sometimes if we don't have a legal binding contract with a particular employer, we can't do much. We can't tell people what to pay women or people of color or Black people or Bengalis. We just don't do that. What we can do is highlight the problem. And that's what we did. And then what we can do is say, these are a number of solutions that you could, and actions that you can take to mitigate this issue here, but this is an issue. And that's what we've done. We can't tell, I don't think anybody in this Zoom can tell record labels, publishing houses, companies that have got shareholders to change their CEO salary. What you can do is highlight the problem, highlight some solutions, wrap it around with forensic data, with some accountability, and say, look, you're losing out. And that's what we did ultimately. And people know, I don't think people didn't know about women getting paid less or didn't know about minority communities getting paid less. They just chose, there was a conscious bias to ignore it. So we talk a lot about unconscious. This was conscious, and what we need to do is get to the belly of the beast, which is, if we look at truth, fairness, equity, all the things that we care about, we will collectively move the dial, but we need to do it really fast. We don't want to be here in 5 years' time or 10 years' time, and that's why we have to have really smart targets. And as everybody said, we need to collaborate, but sometimes we need to bash people over the heads as well.
Can I ask something?
Go ahead, please.
If you don't mind, Black Lives in Music, we're baby sharks born swimming. That's what we like to say. We're just doing our thing, but you guys definitely have experience and your roots run deep. I heard the other day in a meeting that someone just, a person of senior level just overtly just said, you know what? This is all going to come down in 12 months' time, and we're just going to go back to normal. And obviously, we're going to do what we can to put systems in place that we can try and make change. But that mindset and the boldness to actually say it overtly kind of concerned me. And maybe that person's not alone. I guess the question I'm asking for those who've gone before us and those who are doing it, and we're all actively doing it now together, what do we do about that mindset? Is data enough? I mean, because this is looking at the lived experience and the voices that I spoke, this is a serious problem. Like, from the lived experience point of view, we all lived it, but lived experience, what are we going to do with that mindset? That's my question, just real one.
I do think, Sharice, that something that you said earlier, it is really rings true here. All the data in the world is great, but people and their action, and this is, going to sound controversial for me because people always say I'm Kofi Annan, but kicking off is actually, it works. And we need to keep kicking off. And I know having that energy, it can be draining. It can be draining. It is draining. What am I saying? It can be. It is draining. But the simple truth is it is true. you know, if you look at, would I have been invited to sit on the Brits Diversity Committee, or as it's called now, the EJAG, which is Equality Justice Advisory Group, right? Would I have been able to sit there unless, you know, people raised it? And we do have a very powerful weapon in social media, and we are good at it. We are good at mobilizing, and we need to keep kicking off, because it is definitely a medium that people take notice of, and not just there, but in other ways as well. There are plenty of other ways in which we can kick off. But yeah,
I think kicking off is cool. I think that's definitely one thing to do. You know, I like a bit of that, but I think also it's just offering up solutions.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like I think when part of the problem that we've had as Black people in the past is we've been very loud in saying what the problem is, whilst not necessarily coming with the solution. I know that we shouldn't necessarily have to have the solutions, but sometimes, you know, we have to do the things that aren't necessarily what we should be doing in order to move forward. And if we can come together and we can kind of say, okay, here's some solutions, and we keep moving forward, and it's not relying on whether they get involved. Look, let me tell you, doing Power Up, there are organizations that we've approached to get involved. You know, I'd still love the major labels to get involved. There's still many organizations that haven't got involved in Power Up that have been approached and aren't there yet. However, that doesn't mean that I'm like, if you're not involved. It means that I'm going to keep knocking on that door. And if they don't let me in the door, like I said, I'll come through the window, but we're going to get there eventually, no matter how long that takes. And we continue to move Power Up forward, irrespective of whether they got involved or not. And I think that's the key. I think it's having solutions which take place regardless of whether the so-called powers that be say you can or you can't. I don't care whether you tell me if you can, I can or I can't. I'm going to do it. And that's almost the mindset that we have to have.
But it's a circle. So education, kickoff, solutions, network. Education, kickoff, solutions, network.
And in terms of education, I think it's really important that we highlight some places as well before we leave. So we've said, get into your networks, but you have the Ultimate Seminar and Creating Vision, you have the MMF, you have She Said So, you have Girls Irate, you have Power Up, you have, pardon?
Cat's Mother.
Cat's Mother.
Like I said earlier, AIM has now launched a platform where it's a free platform for you to use if you're independent. And I'd like to stress this, because I heard a lot about trying to sign to labels. We're in an age where you can be independent. We're in an age where, if you want to put your stuff out, you can. There's nothing wrong with going to a major. There's nothing wrong with being independent. It's about having the knowledge to make the right decisions to move you forward and utilize the ownership of the masters or the publishing or whatever your creative is, having that ownership over it and making sure you're doing the right deal for you. And that might mean going to a major, that might mean being independent, but that the whole point of that platform that AIM has created is to give everybody access to the information to make the right decision. And I think it's really important that people know that resource is out there so that they can make those decisions, and that they are aware of all these other organizations, because a lot of people know where to get the latest Jordans. But you know what? That's cool. And I like Jordans, but it's about making sure that you can get the information so that you can grow your business, sustain your business, so that you can go out, make the money to go and buy those Jordans. And that's what it's all about.
With that said, we have officially come to the end of the panel. We do have 2 more performances as well. There were tons of questions that we weren't able to get through from the audience, but you've heard it already. Access, knowledge, go directly to these guys, find them on LinkedIn, Instagram, and connect. Before we do wrap up though, bear with me. I have one question for everyone. Please keep your answer to 1 sentence. How do we move this from a moment to a movement? How do we move this from a movement from a moment to a movement? Francesca, 1 sentence, please. Less than 30 seconds if you can.
Conversation and strategy and education.
Conversation, strategy, education. Ben.
It already is a movement. The work that Black Lives in Music are doing is amazing. The work that the BMC are doing is amazing. Power Up, Ammo is doing it, UK Music, BBM, like it all of this stuff is a movement, and I think it's important that we remember that it's a movement and it's already happening. We're already doing it, and we don't minimize the
This
work
sentence
that's
has
being
a lot
done.
of commas. Thank you, sir.
Sorry, I got big mouth.
That was a Ghanaian sentence. My father. I want to talk about, anyway, okay. So I would say,
it from a moment to a movement.
here we go. Education. You know what I'm going to say, right? So I'm going to say education, data, network, kickoff, all over again, you know?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Let's come to you on our digital panel. Michelle, we can see you, so please go first.
Yeah, education, not being scared to speak up.
That's a big one. That's a big one.
Not being scared to speak up and pulling others through and advocating for others as well. If you know somebody's got a talent, you know someone's got a skill, speak up, talk them up, bring them through. And what else? Networking and consistency, not leaving the conversation because, oh, they're not talking about it no more. Bring it back. Rewind, come again.
Yeah.
Just like Artful Dodger, rewind. Charisse, over to you.
Mine is just unity in the sense of we all come together and, we come in one accord, to be honest with you. When I look at the protests, that was a picture of unity. And that's how we need to be in an industry, just unified.
Unity, I love it. Kwaku?
We are working in silos. Let's find common grounds for unity where it works. So last thing I'll say, some people want us to work together, but you've got to go into their camp. They never come into anybody's camp, and that is an issue. So it's still working in silos.
Cross-working, cross-learning, love it. Dr. Monique?
I would say the cultural capital we already have. As Ben highlighted, we've got the networks. So it's been ongoing. As I think Kwame said, people, we're standing on shoulders of those who have gone before. So keep the momentum going, know your value, and the networks don't necessarily intersect with the industry in the most obvious way. So be fluid, network, know your value.
Love it. Lift as you climb, network, be fluid. Ammo?
I'll be really quick. I mean, it's nothing that nobody said before, but collaboration for me is at the heart of what we need to do, and then really celebrate success. Really celebrate success. So when people are doing well, look at people. There's loads. We stand on the shoulders of many people before us, and we really need to start sharing those stories because. In the last year, we know diversity has been amplified, but a lot of people are doing this stuff 10, 15 years ago when it was a lot harder and we didn't have these Zooms as well. So let's celebrate, the history and what's happened before us as well.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, Kienda.
I would say that we're a movement. It's about how we grow the movement and make the movement successful. And we do that by arming ourselves with the right arrows, weighted correctly, sharpened, straightened. And how do we get these arrows straightened? We get them straightened with the right data, with the right information from lived experience of us and knowledge. All of those things go into making this arrow hit its target. And that's what I think we need in order to make our movement. We need to be armed and ready with the right data. Informed kicking off is what it's all about.
Armed and
Informed
ready.
kicking off.
Kicking off. Love it. Thank you so much to our panel. I mean, I can't thank you guys enough. The gems have been incredible. I hope everybody that was watching has been taking notes. Please Listen to what has been said, okay? Connect, get the access, get the knowledge. This has been your Access All Areas triple pass into music industry. We've been talking about racism in the UK music industry. I have been your moderator, Gracey Mae.
Well done, Gracey.
Thank you so much.
Great job, Gracey.
Well
and
done,
I'm going to
Gracey.
segue back to my friend, DJ Longers.
Hey, Gracey, thank you. We've had a wicked panel today, and Ben, I want those trainers. We're going to play one more quick song, and then we're going to bring on our last appearance.
Can we talk? Oh, bye. Bye.
Yeah, okay. Bye-bye.
See you, everybody.
DJ Longers, your resident host and DJ of Access.
Hey. Yeah? You like the idea?
Yeah, I mean, I've got your number on the group, but if you can, if you have time for me, you're a busy man, but...
Yeah, I think it's absolutely essential to do this.
It all started for me when I started to read and I opened the Bible to Psalm 23. I choked up and I started to weep because I knew it was the Lord that guided me. Way back when I used to play hide and seek, used to say my prayer every night of the week. Back when we couldn't even have rice and peas. Now I lack for nothing, live life in peace. He makes me lie down in pastures green along the right path. Yeah, he's guiding me. My cup overflows. I'm anointed, bro. So enemy, don't waste your time with me. Yeah, it's like he blinded me, he restored my soul and reminded me that, yea, though I walk through the valley of the darkest place, I know you reside in me. Whoa. It's like I started to see, put my hands in the air, fell down to my knees, said, surely goodness and mercy for the rest of my days will now follow me. Thou preparest a table for me in the presence of mine enemies, that's favor. Do me a favor, allow me to dwell in your house, Lord, and I'll never leave. Please. If you're alright with the Lord in your life, yeah, right, that's favor.
Once again, I have to apologize for our running over time today. We are way over time, but you know what? It's been an excellent show anyway, and we're ready to put on our last artists onto the stage to come and shut it down for you right about now. So, yeah, my name is DJ Longers. This has been Access All Areas, your AAA pass to the music industry, and we're going to bring on our last artist onto the stage.
Access All Areas New Artist Showcase. We are the home of new UK music. The next artist to perform on the AAA stage is...
Can we have a virtual round of applause for the one and only Boy Nash?
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Is it loud enough? Can everyone hear me? Yeah. All right, perfect. So I go by the name of Boy Nash. We'll get straight into the first freestyle, which is the prophecy freestyle. Take me in. Yeah, all praises to Yahuwah and Hashem, Ayim, the Malaki, scream Kadosh, Kadosh, for you are worthy. How could they hate me? Yo. But when it comes to bars, I bring the weight like dumbbells. While we're locked in our box, 5G's working on ourselves. The world rang the alarm, but we slept through the nightmare. Bones in chest, they'll run tests on your flesh. Stick a vaccine in your chest and document the side effects. And if it goes wrong, they'll pronounce you as dead. Grab another human being and practice again. Wear the whole armor, garner arms like a spider. We go into war. I kill the devil for his brother. I cherish the sun, cause when it rained it flooded. How many more corpses have to be sold and damaged before we rise and bang it? Look how they're doing the doctrine. No Juma on Friday, no church on Sabbath. Works of the machine, divide and conquer our regime. Besiege our dreams, delete our seeds. Ooh, I've seen the scenes, it's not what it seems. Ooh, they flip the screens and hit the deets, lowered our frequency. You best retune your keys. Work a 9 to 5, right? And die, right? That's what they want, right? But where my damn rights? As for Boy Nash, you know I had eagle eyes. Only 5'7", but the kid seen new heights. Legacy, memory, energy, so heavenly the prophecies outplaying. Check the holy creed. Yahuwah, forgive me for my negligence. False idols we served had no relevance. A new Malish, doing up Easter. Rocking Gucci, but that don't mean nada. Will I ever change and fall asleep in my pajamas? Nah, I had insomnia. Studying the scriptures like schooling up in Harvard. Read between the lines, don't get caught up in the margin, or you could get crossed out like a marker. If Twitter's full of followers, then where are all the leaders? Instagram's full of filters who can show me where the real is. Black lives matter. Hope I convince you that I matter. And if I don't see results, I'll use my economic power. Words from Deuteronomy seen in today's reality. I grabbed me the biggest shank. I had to cut off all this vanity. I ain't begging for equality. Karma will soon speak for the bloodshed atrocities buried within our memories. The label black and white, that's a recipe for calamity. It's a Latin spell recited by many on a daily. False sense of identity. DNA is memory. Knowledge of hereditary. Ancestors speak through me about I can't breathe. Speak life, not defeat. I ain't getting on one knee unless I'm proposing to my queen. Black on black crime, I see through their white lies. You're not black and I'm not white. What do these two colors mean? If you ask me, it's like they had their intent. They played around with our brain, made us sabotage ourselves. That's why Kadeem's got a beam ready to light up his op, protect what he's got. There's no rules to his job, apart from get the keys gone without himself getting locked. Luciferian elite plotting on Jacob's seed, their trickery making us feel like we're docile and weak. Wolves playing sheep, slave patrol now police. Pastors resting in deceit, the mass awakening is peak. Me, I cut out red meat. The way they kill the cow is mean. Plus they rear them with drugs. I bet there's steroids in their genes. I was 14 on the block. I used to pull up with a butcher's knife ready for the beef. Now I just pray to a higher and done demons in my sleep. Track 2, let's go. This one's called Gotham. It's out now on Spotify. It's a mashup with Love and Frequencies, which is on Spotify as well. We've hit 500,000 streams on that one. So let's go. Means so much. It doesn't mean so much to you. Yeah. Does it mean so much to you? Does it mean so much to you? Yo, does it mean so much to you? Does it mean so much to you? Does it mean so much to you? What's your purpose? What's your vision? Are you driven? Are you living? Are you breathing or existing? These questions I be asking. Are you lying when you smiling? Or smiling when you lying? Or probably trying to hide it? Mentally deny it? Are you really in the kitchen? Are you really preaching wisdom? Or you part of the system? Preacher, why your chain glisten? Are your congregation victims? Always taking, never giving? What would you sacrifice to get it? Quit your job and go searching. Would you risk it for a biscuit? Rep it to your grave. Are you real? Are you fake? You got heart like you say? Are you scared? Are you brave? Would you say it to my face? I knew I was great. I could feel it in my veins. Hand of God's on my lane. Take your decoy away. This is young MLK and I'm paving a new way. Starting a new day. Bringing a new wave. My style is too much. I'm killing them all day. These brothers think that we poppin'. These brothers think that we poppin'. They don't know what it's costing. They don't know what it's costing. Man, I was out here in Gotham. And I was doing it often. These brothers think that I'm poppin'. But you don't know what it cost me. Now we were grinding in Gotham. And we were doing it often. And Malaki scream Kadosh, Kadosh, for you are worthy. Let's go. Yeah, I present to you Love and Frequencies, a lost shepherd mixing with the sheep. Do you feel ashamed? Always hide your face because you chose your lane and never went their way. I never stayed away, I rode the wave. You can do it too, don't be afraid. Fear will keep your dreams locked away. It's the lowest frequency next to hate. I mean 5 to 8 is why I alternate. My mental plane is in a different space. Spiritually, can't you feel the change? I had to kill the old me, put her in a grave. More time, my habits keep us down, but we be out here screaming brothers, hey. Yo, look inside. All we need is change.
Walk by faith
and not by sight. Impossible spells are impossible. On 5 to 8 burdens and obstacles are
torchlights navigating our
route to our final tunnel.
Enjoy the pilgrimage.
Yeah.
Journey.
I'm vibrating on a higher. I said skr, I'm in a. I mean we all got eyes but we don't see the same. We don't see the same. I'm vibrating on a skr, I'm in a. We all got eyes but we don't see the same. This is for my mother, man, I love you dearly. One day I'll repay you for providing daily. When they turn their back, you never turned yours. One thing I know is that your love is pure. God's love, that agape touch. No matter how I strayed, he still brought me back. Everlasting presence reigns in my flesh. They gon' feel Yeshua in every verse I pen. Lust living in my brain, fam. I never bone hoes, but I love to flirt. Should've ignored the flesh like Napoleon said. Instead of playing queens in this game of chess. Old brethren had to flip them off because their frequency was on a jealous dial. My sixth sense helps me detect a threat. I can't be around energy that's off or dead. Nah.
Walk by faith and not by sight.
Hallelujah.
Impossible spells are impossible. On 528, burdens and obstacles are torchlights, navigating our route to our final terminal.
Yeah.
Enjoy the pilgrimage.
1, 2, let's go.
Safe journey.
I'm vibrating on a higher plane. Skr, I'm in a different lane. We all got eyes, but we don't see the same.
We don't see the same. I'm vibrating
on a higher plane. Skr, I'm in a different lane. Yeah, we all got eyes, but we don't see the same. We don't see the same. Vibrating on a higher plane. I'm vibrating on a higher plane.
Skr, I'm in a different lane.
Skr, I'm in a different lane. I'm in a whole different lane.
We all got eyes, but we don't see the same.
We don't see the same. We don't
see the same.
We don't see the same. No, we don't. There's more to life than what meets the eye. I'm Boy Nash, thank you for having me, peace.
Wow, we had 3 artists come up here and blaze the place. Come down in front of the board, please, bro. Because UK's came there and they and shut down the place at the end. So big shouts going out to you, bro.
Thank you, bro.
So where you from, bro?
South London, Croydon, yeah.
Okay, and what about family heritage?
Ghanaian.
Okay, big up the Ghanaians in the
Yeah,
building.
big up the Ghanaians, one time, back.
Yeah. So, where does your inspiration for your music come from?
Comes from the Most High, like downloads and life.
Yes.
It just drops in my head.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's where it comes from.
The way you say that, you sound like you're flipping, 70 years old and you're like a Buddha living in the mountains and all that kind of stuff.
Anyone can tap into it. You just have to avail yourself.
I hear you.
Anyone can.
I hear you. So, like, for someone who's watching right now, how would they be able to tap into him? Give them a little advice.
Just get close to the Most High, man. Just ask questions, man.
Yeah.
Don't be caught in the bubble of what is. Because so many times, like, they create a little system for us, and we foolishly believe that that's the only thing. But there's more to life. Trust me, there's more to it.
Also want to apologize for the fact that everything's running so late today. We had like a lot of technical issues which actually brought everything back, and also apologies to the public as well.
No worries.
So today's been about racism in the music industry.
Yeah.
What kind of racism have you ever faced within the music industry?
Do you know what it is? I'll be honest. You see, like, if you're born handcuffed,
yes,
all you know is handcuffs. You're like this. You'll never know. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I've just always navigated through a system which has been crooked, but it took me a while to realize that, this system is crooked, because you look at certain artists getting breakthroughs and easier to work with than your color and your art than who you are. But then you have to ask the question, if there's only 8% of us in this country, in the whole of the UK, what are they trying to sell?
Good
Do you get what I'm saying? So they have to appeal to the others. So it's like it's a catch at the moment. So I can't really say I've experienced it. I've just known to navigate through the system.
So basically, it's not something that you've experienced directly, but you've kind of been around it.
I think we all experience it, but we just maneuver through it. So I can't say there's a particular, like, if we're going to say it point blank, the whole system's racist.
Yeah.
If we're going to say it point blank as it is, the whole system's racist, but it's structural racism.
Yes.
It's not racism where it's like, you're black, so you're not getting in.
Yes.
It's just like, we need to sell this product, and this person looks like this, so we can sell that. You're not this. We can't sell that. It's just, so it's business at the end of the day. But I'm saying I've learned to navigate through that energy and just deliver what I deliver, and whatever comes of it, comes of it.
So how would you say to somebody who is not you to get around it?
Boy, you are thick skin, innit? It's just the way it's set. Do you know what it is? I believe that equality is a myth. It will never happen. It will never. You can push it to a certain level, but there will always be someone who has an advantage over you, whether it's their skin color or their race or their economic situation. It's just how it's structured. So I'll tell them the harsh reality of what it is, but keep going and finding your truth and finding your light and keep maneuvering, and maybe it could work for you,
Okay.
Yeah.
So for those out there listening, watching, whatever, how would they be able to keep in contact with you and watch when you're releasing things? And plug yourself, bro.
Oh, yeah, www.boynash.com.
Okay, the website's out there.
Yeah,
Wicked.
just get on the website, Instagram, Boy Nash, Twitter, Boy Nash.
Yes.
And just, vibe, man.
Boy Nash, came out here and closed down the place. Big shouts going out to Boy Nash.
Thank you.
Thank you, bro. Remember, we are live every first Saturday of the month. So the next one will be July the... Let me have to take out my phone and find out exactly what date this is, because I should have actually done this already, but I'm going to do it right now. So our next AAA Access All Areas will be on Saturday, the 3rd of July. Make sure you're live and present and ready. All right? We're getting out of here, ladies and gentlemen. This has been AAA Access All Areas, and we're back next month.
Skywalker made it.
T-Supremo. Aye. Tanana. Mr. Tanana, huh? Tinini, that's Tinini, aye. Surely, goodness and mercy shower it for me. Everything's turning around for my cause, so you know I'm on my way to glory. Cause I'm a victor, not no victim. Victim is not what you can call me. But you see, man, still covered in grace and favor and victory. Back with the ease and grace. Look, I checked my bank account, all my P's in shape. I still gotta thank my Lord, cause I know that I'm blessed in Jesus' name. Blessed and highly favored, feeling like Joseph, and I'm just feeling like, what? Can't you see man is blessed? Is it because I'm fruitful? Is it because I'm useful? It's because of mercy.